cycling to the top at the end of the hour, and they've just stopped. The last stop was at 2 hours and 2 minutes. It's now 2 hours and 59 minutes. So they're actually done a shorter run.
The impressive thing for Ferrari car 50 is that Molina managed to get into that car. They did the driver swap without changing tyres. That's usually completely unheard of. So still on the 104 lap of tyres when they came out of the pits.
Yes.
The two Ferraris, apart from that one new side that went on with the Giovinazzi pit stop, and now James Collado. So that was the impressive thing from Ferrari car 50. They turned that car around. The driver change alone with just the fuel going in, keeping the same set of tyres on. I wish I could have seen that pit stop from inside the car.
Just to confirm, I was doing a bit of number crunching. No tyres that time, you say, for the Jota car, the 12 car?
No.
Okay.
I was talking about the car 50.
No. And actually, let's take it while we're watching Valentino Rossi fighting for his podium spot for second place. With a right side change, James Collado's crew only took 3 seconds longer in the pits than their rivals.
Danny, we're seeing some dark clouds overhead. We'll keep an eye on the weather. If you see any spots of rain, please let us know.
Right, everybody, stop talking it up.
With apologies, the 38 car was the one that we saw with no tyres. Just look at the 12 car now, which is back on. So a minute and 16. They are no tyre stops. 122 looks like a 2 tyre stop, and they've had 2 of those.
Here we go. Change of positions there, and a round of applause from the Mr. Ferrari car crew. They got that move done. Did man on Valentino Rossi into turn 2 and loses another position to the car that's lapped. Oh, sorry, not another position, just place on track to the car that's lapped, Castellacci. So that no position change there, but the most important one was man getting through.
Yeah.
A good move. He had the speed on the straight line, it seemed. Nothing that Rossi could have done.
The deal with Rossi is that all he's got to do is put him under pressure and make him run wide once, and Simon Mann will be in for a drive-through, because he has no track limits exclusions remaining. So he's under real pressure, Simon Mann. He's got by, but he has to keep it clean for the rest of the stint. So Valentino Rossi down to 3rd place, still in the podium position. And I wouldn't mind betting that his teammate or his team have told him, just let him go, concentrate on your race, it'll come to us.
Obviously check the car. I got quite some damages front and rear.
Welcome back to the 6 hours of Imola as we are 5 minutes away from the halfway mark. Ferrari 1-2, Forza Ferrari, almost to a man, woman and child there shouting from the grandstands ahead of Toyota. Porsche, Penske Motorsport running in 4th and 5th with Toyota Gazoo Racing second string car in 6th place. Then of course's 3rd Ferrari, that was in the lead group early on but dropped out of contention about the 1 hour mark, and then Hurst Team Jota, they've been playing the fuel economy game. In LMGT3, Bantai Pure Racing continued to lead, they were the pole sitters, and Valentino Rossi and Sean Gallel for Team WRT back up to 2nd and 3rd place as they have moved up the order ahead of Simon Mann, who's dropped down to 6th position. A few penalties being handed out for track limits, but right now, having survived a moment or two on colder tyres, 51 James Collado leads the race. Martin Haven, Anthony Davidson and Graham Goodwin in the booth. And Graham, we've been joined by our tyre manufacturers representative, so time to catch up on what's going on with the round black stuff.
Well, it's important, isn't it? Just received a really impressive figure, by the way, before we get into our round robin about what's going on, and there is plenty of news on tyres. 73,600 spectators here over the 3-day event. That's a massive total. And welcome to the booth, my colleagues, first from Michelin and in a moment from Goodyear. And one of the things you're bringing, Michelin, to this race is an opportunity for those fans trackside to know more about what's going on with the Michelin tyres. Tell us a little bit about the development that we're seeing for the first time here.
Yes, so the tyres are exactly the same as in Qatar and last year also, but we have decided to be a bit more visible, also when the car is on the pit lane, but also when the car is in the dynamic, when you go on a straight, to be able to see which tyre spec that the teams are using. So we have decided to choose different colors. So we have the white one for the soft one, so it's not available this weekend. So we choose the white one because the white for us, it reminds us the snow, the cold. So that's why we choose to have the white color. And this weekend we are using, as you can see on the cars, the yellow one is the medium compound. So this is a compound that we are going to provide to every races this year. And this today on the race, this is the most used compound on this race. And we choose the yellow because it's something between the white and the red, because the red is the hard compound. We choose the red because the red, for us, we identify the red with the heat.
So I think we saw a little earlier, one of the teams choosing to mix those compounds.
Yeah, we saw the BMW at the beginning of the race when they stopped for a long time. We joined the race. The conditions were quite warm, and the track temperature was quite warm. So we saw that they attempt to use this compound because we didn't use it during visible, so we can. As soon as there's a red tire on the car, we see a very strong tire because there's low energy on the tire, there's no fast corners, so we don't put a lot of heat on the tires. This race, we can see in average we are running around 20 degrees less than in Qatar on the tire. So it's a tire that it's a track that doesn't put a lot of energy on the tire, so that's why we don't need to use the hard compound this weekend. So that's why the medium is the correct tire for the race.
Last couple of questions. It's about this new look FI World Endurance Championship. You guys are here. You're here with a technological solution to a motorsport problem. You're here as well to push forward on sustainability. We could talk about that, I think, another time. But the other thing is, you're here to publicise the brand. 73,000 people here this weekend. Lots more watching at home and listening at home. That has to be a big push behind a continuation for this. He says, asking, please keep coming.
Yes, exactly. You know, the endurance racing is in the DNA of Michelin. So we know it's the best place to prove the endurance tire because we transfer all the technology that we are learning in endurance racing to the street cars, to the street tires, to show the performance, the long-lasting performance on the tires.
Tell me one last question as well, which is, what kind of level of engagement are you getting, not just from the teams, not just from the industry, but the fans? They take a kind of laser-focused interest in every aspect of the sport.
Yeah, exactly. There's the competition on the track with all the car manufacturers, but also there's an interest in terms of tires because we are bringing new technology also. it's hard to see the technology on the tire because the tires are with black and round. So, but we are working intensively to bring some innovation on the tires. This year on the wet weather tire that we are providing, it's already made with 45% of renewable and recycled product. So it's already in half of the tire, nearly half of the tire that is already with sustainable product in the tire. And on the slick, we are working to improve this rate for the slick for the 2025 season.
That's something we're going to be talking about for many years to come. We're going to cross across in a moment. First back to Martin.
Yeah, I mean, part of what Michelin are trying to produce with these sport tyres is to introduce more and more renewable material, but by keeping the performance at the same level. And look at what those tyres are producing. It's a phenomenal race for second place. The Ferrari under real pressure. Miguel Molina was challenging very hard for the lead against teammate James Collado a few laps ago, and now he's got Nick de Vries right behind him in the Toyota, and it's only traffic that is extending and compressing the gap. De Vries is all over the back of the Ferrari, and a couple of times Miguel Molina has had to be very brave in traffic, go the long way round the outside to avoid losing any time. It's a fantastic battle for second place. Also just seen a 30-second penalty being applied to LMGT3 driver Mikkel Pedersen. He's had to stop and hold, having had a drive-through for track limits. Still apparently can't keep the car within the white line, so he's had to be reminded of that by putting himself into the corner. Of course, LMGT3 brings us on to our other tyre partner in the championship, because it is Goodyear Eagles that are being run by all the cars in LMGT3. And Mike from Goodyear, again, sustainability, not bringing endless numbers of tyres and making tyres last and perform. As with Goodyear, so with Michelin, you guys are both in the same boat. You want to get, like road car users do, the most bang for your buck and the longest life for your money.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole point of why we're in endurance racing and why we target that. You know, I can only mirror Pierre's comments in the same way. We target this longevity and performance in testing on the LMGT3 slick tyre. We covered mileage as high as 550 kilometres on one set of tyres on a GT car, so that's really the target of all of us.
Quick question I've got here, Mike. It's for the longest time it seemed that the tyre companies investing heavily in motorsport drew most of their publicity when things went wrong, and it's very clear that you guys are looking to change that pattern by doing two things. It's telling a more positive story, but it's also in providing information to people who are interested in this. It's not just, here's a brand, it's here's what we've done with this tyre. We heard from Pierre what's happening with the sidewall there. You've got a similar concept there with Goodyear as well. But, I mean, the big boost for the guys listening in, they've made that happen by being interested.
Yeah, of course, and we want to talk about what's going on with the tyres and the fact that we're pushing, you know, the level of sustainable materials within the tyre and the types of product we're using and how we're developing those products for this form of racing.
Well, new visible sidewalls for Michelin, the new product you've got here for the first time this weekend. It's getting very dark out there. It might just need to be used because it's a brand new LMGT3 wet.
Yeah, there is. We've been developing it in the background for the last 18 months, and we do that with a lot of in-house testing and laboratory testing and then our private test facilities. And we actually got the opportunity to use that tyre a couple of weeks ago in Spa at some private testing. So we're quite excited to see if we can get that in the race.
Well, I think we're quite excited if it rains as well. But it does look at the moment, Martin, remarkably dark outside.
Remarkably dark, but also really windy, and that's what preceded the storm yesterday. And for Nick de Vries, he might need something like rain. Well, Nick de Vries in the Toyota was all over the back of Miguel Molina, and then they caught a four-car battle of LMGT3 cars, and suddenly the gap has yawned back out to well over 2 seconds. De Vries bringing it down again. But I'm not sure everybody is quite as enthusiastic as Mike McGregor to see the wet tyres dragged out. There's an awful lot of fans sitting in open grandstands for a start. But, I mean, yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? When you have just a wet or a slick and there's no intermediate, there are going to be compromises, aren't there, somewhere? And how hard is that for a tyre manufacturer to balance?
I don't think there really is compromises anymore. We've spent so much time and work to develop a tyre that runs very well into the drying conditions, and a slick, especially the fact that we don't have tyre warmers anymore, with the slick tyre switching on so much quicker, actually the drivability is much bigger than what it used to be in the past.
I mean, one of the key things we heard about the construction of tyres and the sustainability of that. Another part of the sustainability is use fewer tyres, and that's what we're seeing in terms of the fewer choices being offered. You're transporting fewer tyres, you're having to presumably recycle fewer tyres because there's less wastage.
Yeah, overall, we're producing less tyres for the overall championship. We're shipping less tyres to each event, and by having tyres that have a wider operating window and work for longer, we're using less tyres in the races.
Great stuff. I think we'll say thanks to both Pierre and to Mike on behalf of all the World Endurance Championship fans. It's never been easier to understand what's going on aboard these race cars, whether or not it's with our guys and the graphics, but the information that your guys, through the technology you've got available to you, and through the initiatives that you're bringing to these cars trackside, it is significantly easier to understand that. So we're going to say thanks very much indeed to both Pierre from Michelin, to Mike from Goodyear, and we're going to get back to racing.
Okay, new target 27.8, 27.8. We do one lap less and push on the rear left tires. Push on the rear left tires. We do one lap less, 27.8.
Well, that's the delta, the lap time that he's been set to produce. So, yeah, James has been told to hurry up a little bit and push those left side tyres as well, because those are the ones that are now, well, 100 and whatever they were 104 laps old at the beginning. One thing that we've learned from the Chevelles, the number 15 BMW, is that hard rears are not really working, because that's gone back to medium rears. It's not snowing. This is the dander that is blowing off the trees. It's a sort of covering, like sticky buds on some buds you get on trees. This is a fluffy cover over the leaf buds, and flowing all over the place as we watch Corvette versus the Lexus.
So it's 119 laps, our graphic said on James Collado's left-hand side tyres, and that's why his engineer was saying, don't be afraid to use them, because on the next stop, we're going to change them.
Fantastic slow-mo shot of Tamburello, side by side, the two front V8 engined cars, Corvette versus the Lexus. Miguel Molina, every time he gets a break in traffic, Nick de Vries seems like he's out of it and then comes right back in it again. Look at the way the gap has yo-yoed up and down. That's not because Molina finds something or de Vries finds something. That's because the traffic hurts their lap times when they catch cars in the wrong place.
There's around 10 seconds lap difference between the LMGT3 cars and the hypercars around this track. So it just goes to show how much time you can lose. I mean, surprisingly little actually on this track compared to that of Qatar, where it was well over 13, 14 seconds a lap. So yeah, the slow speed seems to help the GT cars in terms of their speed they can carry. We've seen that every time a hypercar awkwardly gets past them in between two slow speed corners, the GT's right there on their tail until they get onto the next straight line. So the hypercar really it's got a bit more downforce, so that helps them in the higher speed corners, and there's very little of that content around this track.
Oh, de Vries with a run here. Did he go by? No, he didn't quite. That was going by the Peugeot, but getting right up behind the Ferrari, and there's a Porsche in front of them as well.
It's the 38 Jota.
Oh, it's the 38 car, okay. So Jota's mid-race speed is not quite what they were hoping.
Now this strategy from Jota seems to be just falling away from them a bit in the second half of the race.
Talking about falling, both Porsche drivers are reporting rain on the track. Now, when we were talking to our tyre colleagues a moment or two ago, I did think that the road outside the circuit looked like it might be glistening a little, but the road in the circuit, or that is the circuit, because there are actually public roads running through the middle of the circuit, that at the moment remains dry. It has not been declared a wet track, which means you may not fit wet weather tyres yet. So when Eduardo Freitas is notified by any of the marshals posts that it is raining on them, then he will declare it a wet track. Until then, you're on slicks, boy, no matter what the weather gods or the forecasters might be telling you.
I think that onboard shot we just saw there with Nick de Vries in car 7, pretty sure that was water getting streamed up the windscreen. Other than that, it was oil from another car that he's been following, and I doubt that's coming from the Ferrari in front of him.
Yeah, that's a little bit more old days.
Yeah.
Again, it could be something blowing a little bit of water. They go by our GT class leader, still Joel Storm.
And this camera we're looking at there on the gantry had a few spots on it as well. So it's definitely coming down a bit. How hard it will fall is yet to be seen.
Still this battle between Miguel Molina trying to fend off the close attention to Nick de Vries for second place. The gap ahead of Molina, though, almost 14 seconds now.
Yeah, you can see the energy that de Vries has got left. So just under mid-tanks.
If there's any indication of what the weather feels like outside, almost every seat in our grandstand is now full again, whereas it was about a third full an hour ago. Everybody had gone out to get different views of the track rather than sitting on the pit straight. But now, hunched up a little bit against the weather.
Nicholas Carr ahead is for position, 0 risk. We are fuel limited in this stint, fuel limited, so keep an eye on alarms.
Understood. Yeah, just been very, very unlucky with the traffic last lap, but don't worry.
Now, that is the car that was in front of him, I think, because that car of Kelvin van der Linde is right behind. The car in front for position is 31 seconds in front of him, so 54 has just stopped. That has dropped Francesco Castellacci down a couple of places. Valentino Rossi is in the pit lane. Tyre changes, right sides only. And it's going to be the same as well behind for Sean Gallel. That's the second stop for Valet, so he's now into a triple stint. And by the way, you can catch up with Valentino Rossi in about 10 days' time when Full Access comes out. I mean, you won't be able to catch up with him, but you'll be able to hear Anthony Davidson catching up with him yesterday. So that will be part of our Full Access coverage. Again, our behind-the-scenes programme, which is being filmed during the weekend and during the race. We'll be able to show you insights that we can't do live and in real time. So Full Access will be out around Tuesday or Wednesday next week and give you an awful lot more insight into what's going on.
Okay, Valet, so it's the 2 new tires on the right, cold. On the left, c'est hot tires. Careful pit exit line, don't cross the white line after pit exit. Stay focused out lap.
Change of position just outside the top 10 meanwhile. Proton Competition's Harry Tinkler's gone by. Eduardo Montara puts the Lamborghini back down to 12th position. The Proton Porsche number 99 up to 11th. He is now just 1.3 seconds back from Oliver Rasmussen in 10th position overall.
Interesting little bit of strategy from WRT. They've right side only, and that's the Izotov in the barriers. And that might be very telling, because if Carl Watanabe can't get out of the barriers there, and we go safety car, and the rain arrives as well, then suddenly everybody's gambling. They might get a get-out-of-jail-free card. Now, that is up at Variante Alta again, isn't it? He's just clipped the curve going in. Anthony?
Yeah, here we go. So the right going misses, and yeah, that launches the car over the left-hand curb and sends the car into the barrier. So yeah, he just missed the apex really of the right-hand section, and then that yellow curb just acts as a platform onto the gravel. And yeah, the Jota is out. I think there is, to be fair to these drivers there, a little bit of rain coming down at the top end. That's the highest point in terms of elevation of the track. So I think I could see the rain coming down on the screen as well. And as he's turned in, it's just put the car a bit out of kilter, offline, launched over the curb. What he should have done is just bailed earlier, realised I'm not going to make the corner here, and just turn left earlier than trying to continuing trying to commit to the right, like the Jota did right behind him.
Well, and that's the experience, isn't it? That's a different experience level between the Thai driver and whichever of the two Jotas it was, either of Callum
7,
Eilert or
6,
Oliver Rasmussen,
5,
they're
4,
more experienced
3,
in racing and
2,
sports car terms.
1. Full course yellow. We are under full course yellow.
Graham Goodwin.
This is good news for the GT3 class leader because he's come in and serving most of his stop under full course yellow conditions. So the 92 car for Joel Sturm came in ahead of Daniel Mancinelli and Valentino Rossi, who of course had just been on pit lane.
There's Gilles Duquesne, and there is his driver, Carl Bennett. Yeah, disappointed with himself, just getting caught out there. Won't be the first, won't be the last to get caught out at Variante Alta by changeable weather conditions. Full course yellow means everybody's doing 80 kilometers an hour. So there is a special speed limiting button for that. And again, in replay, yeah, I think you're right, Anthony. What we didn't see first time is, tellingly, the Jota Porsche went off as well, and that does suggest there might be something on the track there. Now, whether a car's lost that, or whether that is weather-induced, now he needs to stay in the car, stay calm, allow them to pick him up, put it back on terra firma. They're not here to win the race, they're here to do miles. The two of the drivers really need miles in the car because they're not hypercar experienced. I mean, John Carl's done some testing, but he's a lot more experienced a race driver. But they need miles on the car. They need to learn the car. They need to learn what it responds well to and what it doesn't. And it's a very small program. They didn't test after Qatar, so every lap they do is crucial.
Okay, Michael, if you can report to us, if you see rain, we expect it to come first at turn 7. We expect it to come first at turn 7.
Yes, I have had some light drizzle turn 7. That's it, a little bit benign.
So light drizzle at turn 7, a little bit at turn 9, we're hearing there from Peugeot. One quick word about the Assetto Fraschini. It's been a significantly better performance by the whole team to this point. You know, whilst we know the car needs to find pace and reliability, one of the bigger problems in Qatar was the team on pit lane in the garage performance. That's significantly better here.
Well, remember what Peugeot said at Monza when they debuted the 9X8 2 years ago. We're a test team, we are not a race team. We've got a test mule, we have not got a race car. That's where Isotta is right now, and with much less in terms of backup, personnel and probably finance that Peugeot had going in as well. So it's the same deal. They've got to turn themselves into a race team, they've got to think like a race team, they've got to act like a race team, and they have to turn a test car into a race car. And that's not an easy process. And the way you do it is by racking up the miles. And if you can't test, then the only place to rack them up is where you're actually racing. Peugeot did that, Glickenhaus did that, Isotta are doing that, Lamborghini are doing that.
Well,
same deal.
Yeah, the 11 car rejoins the track, but car 51, meanwhile, the race leader is under investigation for a technical infringement. Well, the wind is certainly up.
Sorry about that. That was last night's pasta.
Full course yellow will be removed at 16:13. 32 seconds, we're removing full course yellow.
Tiny. Sorry,
I'll get in there at some point. Thanks, Eduardo. Speaking of Eduardo, I don't think he'll be impressed at all
20
with...
seconds to remove full course yellow.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be impressed at all to see all of that gravel getting sprayed all over the circuit by car 11 weaving around.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow removed.
Two really close battles
look
going
at
on
this. De Vries has got the jump on the Ferrari.
He's going to get the second place away from the 50 Ferrari. Nick De Vries with a phenomenal restart straight by him, and just going past us was a battle with the number 20 BMW right up the gearbox of the 83 Ferrari. So how has that happened?
That was an amazing restart from Nick De Vries. Totally caught Molina napping, and I'm sure Molina's going to be questioning when the full course yellow button was released that limits the car to 80 kph. I'm sure the steward's going to be looking at that one with microscopic detail.
Absolutely right, and it's the same getting down to 80k by the time 0 is cut. So getting down to speed is crucial. Releasing it and not anticipating the zero, that's crucial as well.
That's when you need a drag racer in the car. That's anticipation time.
Oh, what's going on with the Peugeot, and which one is it? You see the Lamborghini behind weaving, but was that a move
94?
for position? That's 94, Loic Duval.
He's going to have the trip through
Ah, goodness.
But going back to that Toyota,
picked up a place.
Had to give it back, that's why he lifted as well.
Going back to that fight with the Toyota and Ferrari, it's a whole team effort in that respect, because you're sitting in the car listening to your team doing the countdown as well. So you're waiting for them to say green, green, green. And as soon as you see the Marshall system as well, you've got to have cat-like reactions on that button to get going. So a whole team effort there from Toyota. Nick de Vries executed that absolutely perfectly, and is pulling away now from Molina.
Yeah, Molina got held up a little bit there by the McLaren. Now he's clear, and de Vries just...
There was a touch. There's a touch from the rear of the 12 car onto the Lamborghini.
Callum Ilott back in the gravel trap and very firmly in the gravel again, but oh, that was close. He nearly slammed into the back of the Toyota. Nick de Vries, I'm sure, has no idea how close that got.
I think when you see that again, you'll see Callum Ilott, I think, just moved across and just got a touch to the rear and settled the car.
There is rain as well. You can see on de Vries' onboard here, the rain is starting to fall, much bigger drops now. But yeah, I didn't quite catch that, Graham, so maybe you did see it right in that there was a bit of contact. I'm sure we'll see a replay again, and we'll have all of our eyes on it.
Another off for the 94.
Yeah, well, the problem is, when you go off, then there's gravel all over the tyres. He's gone off, he's hit something,
There's been some contact this time,
He's clattered the barriers.
Oh, no,
he hasn't.
it's not, it's the tyre.
Left front puncture. Well, again, that might be off-related. Maybe it was going down in the first instance to put him off.
It was either that, or he's picked up a puncture when he went through the gravel trap, and look at the damage that's done to the front left of that Peugeot.
Tyre debris hanging off the rear wing as well. There wouldn't have been a problem last time out.
What a disappointing race it's been for Peugeot. Not their fault that they got tagged at the very beginning of the race with De Resta as the yellow flags or the lights flash and the flags fly.
Oh,
and look at the
debris.
This could go full course yellow to tidy this out. Virtual safety car. Now then, here we go.
30 seconds to deploy virtual safety car.
Leader is in. Virtual safety car, the pit lane remains open until the actual safety car is scrambled.
To deploy virtual
so
safety
you
car.
can now stop. So this is a green flag stop for the 51 Ferrari. They're
We are
not
deploying
gaining
virtual
an
safety
advantage.
car in 10,
But anyone
9,
who stops
8,
in the next
7,
2 laps
6,
will gain
5,
an advantage.
4, 3, 2, 1. We are under virtual safety car. We are under virtual safety car.
I have a feeling that Nick de Vries may possibly have passed under virtual safety car there.
Well, we need to find out whether or not there was a delay anywhere in either the picture or the message, but against what we saw and heard, that was pretty clear-cut.
Well, here's Callum Ilott. There was a touch on the iron links.
I'm not sure there was.
I don't think there was.
There was.
No, I don't think there was.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
So I did call it incorrectly. I apologise for that, but it was the point. I think he hit a bump and got the thing under.
Was that the moment that all the pedal pressure went in? So that has not helped the 51 Ferrari. They did a full green flag stop. Anybody who needs to stop now, everybody else is doing 80 kilometers an hour.
Did phenomenally well. Keep that thing on the island. Watch this go again. That's a 93. There you go.
Looking up ahead of his teammate.
Oh, well,
you see the bodywork getting thrown all over the track.
And did you hear how the 93 started to lift there? Because you never know where the other car's coming back on.
Now, the tyre's still up. It's just delaminated.
Yeah, totally. Now, was it starting to go? Is that what put him off in the first place? Loic Duval's out of the car. I think he's probably had enough of that at the moment. So this will be full service. And I mean, it's a real shame for Peugeot. Not one, both cars punted off in the first turn. I mean, you're not coming back from that. Not in this field, not with this depth of quality. Callum Eilert, second trip into the gravel at the Ravazza. This time they're towing him away to a place of safety, not putting him back on track.
No, the first one was at Tozer, wasn't it, where he went off, where he locked up and went off. This
I thought he went straight downhill into Ravazza before.
No, that was down at turn 7, Tozer.
A lot of sweeping up to do.
There's a lot of clear up here too.
Now then, that's going to benefit 83 because they are doing a virtual safety car pit stop, which will cost them much less time against anyone who doesn't stop, but particularly against the 51 Ferrari.
Yeah.
Our race leader, by the way, is the number 7 Toyota. And they're being investigated for that virtual safety car.
What's the tyre situation? Tell me what the tyre situation is.
So you have 4 new tyre, 4 new tyre. We didn't get the chance. We are forced to do that. So 4 new tyre, cold. So maximum warm-up now. We are under virtual safety car.
Maximum warm-up, but you can't do more than 80 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, that didn't sound a very happy James Collado.
No, and the team, we had no option but to do that.
So for him, he'll be hoping, no, it's going to go.
It's going to go safety car.
Then they're going to be all bunched up behind him. Now, what's going to go on here with the car? 50 pit stop. I can see a tyre.
I think it's all 4.
Yeah, so at least he'll have the sister car behind with all 4 tyres. But this is done under virtual safety car, so they're gaining that advantage time-wise.
But don't forget, everybody else's tyres, no matter how hot they are now, will cool down behind the safety car. So the differential between a currently hot and a currently cold tyre will be much less.
But the big thing here is car 50 exits its pit box. I'm watching the drive at the tracker, and 51 is only just entering turn 18.
Yeah.
Down at Ravazza, so we're going to see a lead change here.
Absolutely.
And now, even Stevens in terms of tyres, and you can see that it didn't touch, did it?
Didn't touch.
No touch.
By the way, Nick de Vries did not pit. He leads the race.
Yeah, no, I said that, but he is under investigation for that pass as we went down to 0. And that's before Ferrari protest his release of the car under the full course yellow that allowed him to make that pass.
I think we called it right at the time. I think that I'm fairly convinced he overtook just as the full course yellow came out.
Well, we might need to see that again from on board. What happens with a full course yellow is it then goes away from full course yellow. With a virtual safety car, it then automatically becomes an actual safety car.
Correct.
Why does it not go straight to safety car? Because under virtual safety car, when everybody's effectively full course yellowing, you keep the pit lane open for 2 laps. It allows the entire field an opportunity to stop, so nobody is handed a free advantage or potentially disadvantaged. The real problem for the 51 Ferrari is they were already committed to coming into the pits as it was thrown. They were already doing a stop. There's nothing the race director can do to mitigate against that.
So we need a replay, don't we, of Nick de Vries in that moment from this camera angle.
Yes.
On board.
We need it slowed down to see. See the right-hand side? You got the yellow flashing panels and the yellow flags. If they were flying when he overtook
he's in trouble.
The car, then yeah.
And also, when he took second place from the Ferrari, released from the virtual, from the full course yellow, whether full course yellow was still shown in vision when he went. So, yeah, coming out of full course yellow and going into virtual safety car, both potentially, the stewards have definitely seen that virtual safety car move as we did because it was on telly, and I'm sure Ferrari are protesting the living daylights out of that pass for second.
One other quick thing to mention, by the way, the 51, as we saw, forced effectively into that full green. In comes Nick de Vries, but at the moment he has emerged from all of this in 4th place. Remains to be seen what happens around this pit stop and any potential penalty that comes. But this is...
So this is the moment where he went, yeah, he was, as soon as that went green, he was bang. So if anything, it was Molina just a little bit lapse in how he was getting off that full course yellow. I was watching there, the marshal system, as soon as it went green, de Vries had reacted, I saw nothing wrong with that particular moment.
So that's one thing in the Anthony Davidson to-do list covered. It's the other one now. It's the potential penalty.
All right, full field pit stops. We're under virtual safety car in Imola. 3 hours 40 minutes down, 2 hours 20 minutes to go here in Imola, and still, well, Anthony Davidson, not really any clue who's going to win this. I think we know who's not going to win it. It's probably not going to be Peugeot, probably not going to be BMW, not Isotta, not Lamborghini, not Cadillac, I'm thinking, but and not Proton.
Oh, the race today is between Toyota and Ferrari, and Nick de Vries had just got himself into a great position by getting ahead of the car 50 that's going to be in the lead of this race now after their pit stop under virtual safety car, as we just see the local hero, Valentino Rossi.
Now then, Eduardo has
Marshals
just declared the track
raindrops
wet.
At T1, the track is now declared wet. The track is now declared wet. All cars with rear lights on low mode.
Okay, now Eduardo will be working on what the marshals have told him. That's what I said before. Not on what we're seeing on the car windscreens, although we have been seeing for several laps rain on the car windscreens. Slightly surprised at Variante Alta when those two cars skated off that there was no report of rain there. But if there wasn't, there wasn't. And I'm certainly not questioning the race director. But what is interesting is that everybody's had a chance to pit. Nobody had a chance to put on wet.
That's the point I was about to make. We've now gone to safety car, as we must, after virtual safety car. He's saying
He's saying he was committed.
Okay.
That was really interesting. Yeah, I'm really glad we all stopped talking there, because I thought he's explaining here with his hands to his teammate Mike. Yeah, yes. So he reckons he was listening to the countdown of his engineer saying 2, 1, 0.
But
he reckons he just got it done.
But we're hearing race controls countdown. That's being forwarded by his engineer. That's a human time difference.
Well, but it remains to be seen. As things stand, under safety car now, because that has now been called, and you're quite right, Martin, because that's the other part of the dynamic here. Everybody had taken the pit stops that they were able to take, almost the whole field at 100% energy. But because the race had not been declared wet at that point, they couldn't change to wet weather tyres even if they chosen to do so. I don't think they would have chosen at this point.
No.
But what we might see, if this weather turns nasty, and we saw how quickly that could happen yesterday evening, we could see we could see the entire field back down pit lane shortly if this weather turns nasty.
Well, if it does get as wet as yesterday evening, there's not the slightest hope of having a gamble.
But as things stand, Tota still lead this race.
Yes. And Nick de Vries is confident that his pass was clear, clean and clinical. I'm not sure that necessarily everybody thinks the same. Safety car is still in pit lane, waiting to pick up the leader. Under safety car conditions, though, the safety car is only now emerging from the pit lane. What are you talking about, you idiot? Well, what happens in the current rule set is that there are several ways, and Anthony Davidson explored this, or you can see the video on the FIA website with Eduardo Freitas when we're in Qatar, several ways of handling incidents on track. Local wave yellows, local stationary yellows, those are cleared up pretty quickly. Then you can have a full course yellow where everybody comes down to 80 kilometers an hour, and that allows marshals to use gaps in traffic to go and get large bits of debris and stuff out of the way. The next more significant step will be a virtual safety car, which, if things can be cleared up in a couple of laps, will then allow you to do that. But that's everybody going around at 80 Ks. But that then means that you will mandate a safety car to follow it. Everybody will close up behind. It allows cars that are ahead of their category leader in the queue to go round to the back of the queue so they don't automatically lose a lap. So, for instance, there's a couple of GT cars ahead of the GT class. I said a couple. Ahead of the GT class leader. You can see them right there. The third car in the queue is the GT class leader. So those first two will get waved around so that they're not immediately in danger of going a lap down. And that's all part of the current safety car procedure.
Just taking a look at what those two cars. One is the car, the number 91 Montai EMA Porsche.
Correct.
There was in trouble at the very start of the race. I'm just trying to pick out which of the two United Autosports McLarens it is, because 95 is sitting in 8th place, the 28 is sitting in 10th.
It's 95 because it's not got the Ayrton Senna on the back, so that's not 59.
So that's the first car not on the lead lap.
So, and again, because the leader's right behind them. Now, in terms of hypercar, the race leader is the number 7 Toyota Gazoo racing car now of Kamui Kobayashi, and that is at the front of the queue. So,
because, of course, they were able to pit as well under the virtual safety car, as did the number 50, and they were ahead on track at the time when they did their pit stops. That's why they're both ahead of the number 51, who did, as you pointed out correctly at the time, Martin, under full racing conditions. So the whole grid, the whole field was circulating much slower at just 80 kph when the Toyota and the number 50 came in to do their pit stop. So you win loads of time compared to cars circulating at full racing speed when you're stationary in the pits. So I've heard it, I've had it confirmed that apparently the move was done with 1 second to spare from De Vries just before the full course yellow lights came on.
And who's confirmed that? Is that from race control or from somebody in the truck? So that's not confirmed.
I'm not going to name names, but
Jason,
I've
it's
had
not
it
confirmed unless it's from race control. Anyway.
Was it a Mr. N. De Vries?
De Vries. He was under investigation by the stewards for that. No, not for the restart. No, for the virtual safety car. He was notified as being under investigation.
For the pass around, please move to the right. We are preparing the pass around. We may start the pass around now. Pass around has started.
Yeah, there's
all cars eligible for the pass around may now overtake by the right-hand side.
2 cars already cleared off for the pass around. That's 91 and 95.
Cars on the left may not zigzag.
You can see that the umbrellas are up. Everybody is sheltering from the rain. At the moment, it is light rain. I'm saying that because I'm inside. Anthony, go out and find out how light the rain is, because we are on the top of a grandstand. This is like proper test match special. I'm sending somebody out the back door of the grandstand, Graham.
Traditionally send Anthony round because it takes a little longer for the rain to reach him.
Indeed, but he's the first to know it's flooding.
Absolutely.
On board with Danny Kvyat in the third of the drivers, the number 63 Lamborghini Iron Lynx in hypercar. Now, we saw Valentino Rossi debriefing the team and Marco Bezzecchi. What we didn't see was in the background was our man Bruce Ioanni, who has probably had a 3-course meal while he's waiting for Valentino to finish his first sentence.
Not one but 2 MotoGP rider, Marco Bezzecchi, who's the rider of Valentino Rossi VR46, and Valentino, an amazing stint just done. Congratulations.
Grazie, thanks a lot. It was not too bad, especially in the first part. In the first stint, I was good. Second stint was a bit more difficult because the condition of the track were a bit worse. You have some spots, and also with the used tire is more tricky. But anyway, we are there and we try to fight for the podium.
Congratulations. A little word, Marco, first time to come and see Vale. You're supporting him. Maybe one day you drive on 4 wheels as well?
Yeah, well, in Imola is the first time. It's very good to be here to support Vale and to see what he does on the car. So yeah, happy to be here. Hopefully soon I can try also the car.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Yeah, you know, where the doctor goes, lots and lots of others are likely to follow. So I think he might be starting a little bit of a vanguard here. Now, obviously, he is an extraordinarily talented rider, but yeah, he's showing a way for a lot of different talent to go.
Speaking of following, I followed your orders, Martin. I went out there to feel the rain, and right where we are, just before turn 2, I would still comfortably be on the slick tyres, but looking up towards the top of the hill at towards turn 7, turn 9, and then even further in the distance of the top chicane of 14 and 15, It's really dark skies and the rain is coming down clearly over there. So it's moving from that direction towards where we are on the pit straight right now.
Well, stopping in the pits just now, TF Sports number 82 Corvette, Sebastian Bo's getting on board that car. So they clearly were in a situation where they had to stop.
Well, that's odd, because they should have had an opportunity to stop under the virtual safety car.
Yes.
They should not have required emergency service.
It might...
Unless it's a tyre.
Or a driver time deal, I'm not sure, but he's just stopped anyway. Safety car is out. And as you say, Anthony, here, there's no sign looking out the window that the track is even remotely damp. Here at Variante Alta, no spray. Hardly a windscreen wiper on. Not much in the way of rain either. Let's hear what Brendan Hartley's got to say.
Okay, Brendan, we see safety car instructed to pick up the pace. Safety car instructed to pick up the pace.
Track is starting to be wet in pit lane. Track is starting to be damp in pit lane. We would consider boxing as early as possible, so just be ready, everybody.
This could get very busy indeed on pit road.
Yeah, this is tense times for all the drivers now. You see the rain falling on the windscreen, and that only gets worse as you start to speed up. It's like a psychological barrier that you have to go through from inside the car, because it looks horrific, the amount of rain that's pouring down as you speed up on the windscreen. The wipers are on, and but the track can very much still be giving a lot of grip. But more so when you've got nice, warm, sticky, slick tyres. They don't have that luxury, because most of them done pit stops on the stone-cold, ambient temperature tyres, no tyre warmers, and this is going to be an extreme test for the driver's skill right now.
We talked about this a little earlier, didn't we? With 51 Ferrari getting caught in the pits and having to come out on cold tyres. But I said, when we go safety car, everybody will be in the same bag, and they are. Actually, just a moment or two ago, we were riding on board with Brendan Hartley, and on the chin of his helmet, Giltrap Group, one of his early supporters, reminds me that the founder of the group, Sir Colin Giltrap, passed away just this week.
The rain won't last. We think the rain won't last. So we need to survive by staying out.
That is the voice of somebody with their fingers firmly crossed on both hands. It is still raining, and actually the fans outside behind the back of our commentary position have still got their umbrellas up. But what you need to keep your hair dry and how much rain stops a slick tyre working is going to be hard to tell. Of course, what we always say is hot slicks on a damp track will still give you grip. No one has got hot slicks. There's going to be a lot of cars rotating, Anthony.
I can tell you right now, just looking at the circuit there at Variante Alta, that is too wet for slicks.
And the question now that Eduardo Freitas will be asking the safety car driver is it safe? And the safety car driver
is coming in
has
this lap.
said
It's coming in this lap.
safe. Let's go. Safety car's coming in. So yeah, the late Sir Colin Giltrap, supporter of many Kiwis in their early careers, up until very recently, unfortunately passed away this week. And I'm sure on behalf of the likes of Brendan Hartley, the likes of Earl Bamber, who've been supported, they'd like to have a big result here. Away we go. Stone cold tyres, full tanks, wet track.
This is the driest part of the circuit, remember? So they're going to tiptoe their way into turn two already. The Azotto's off.
Perhaps not a surprise, that's Antonio Serravalle. His first lap in the car in the race is on stone cold slicks in the rain.
The tough one's going to be as they come round towards Tosa at turn 7, and then up the hill. That seems to be where it's at its wettest. And another rotation there for car 82, the Corvette. And in a straight line almost, the Peugeot is at 93, off as well.
Who's in 93?
There's been a change of position.
Oh,
the 50's past, the number 7.
Toyota's not bringing its tyres in. All the Ferrari fans are up applauding in front of us here. They watch that on the big screen. Big twitch indeed from the number 7 car. Kamui Kobayashi couldn't get the car turned into Tosa. That's taking candy off a baby if you can then get it off the corner.
Well, you can see this. This is Kamui Kobayashi struggling to fend off the LMGT3 leading car.
Yep.
Yeah, so the GT3s in this kind of condition will have more mechanical grip than the hypercars.
And ABS.
And yeah, not just the leader, but the number 60 car, which is down in 31st place, not even on the lead lap in LMGT3, is just blown by the Toyota and is about to overtake the race leader. So Kamui Kobayashi, you can hear it just like
and it's
hitting the limiter all the way.
It's corners like this even that seem like a mere kink, because you see the race leader getting overtaken now by the LMGT3 is something that's quite bizarre to behold, but almost off the circuit there for Molina in turn 18.
Now, Graham, in the dry, it was taking them 2 to 3 laps to get full temperature into the slicks. This is going to go on for lap after lap.
He's in.
Wet.
And the Ferrari has stayed out, and that's an important moment here.
Both Porsches in, 6 and 5.
That's 6 and 99, that was,
it 6
I think.
and 99? You're right, good spot. So, yeah, he's had enough of that.
And being followed in by a number of other cars. Also in the 35, the 38 Jota, the 93 Peugeot is in as well.
So Kobayashi's thought, I've lost track position to the Ferrari, I lost track position, we might as well go on to the wets now. So those slicks are going to come off, the wets go on. This is really interesting in terms of strategy now.
Here's the Ferrari message to Miguel Molina. We don't believe the rain is going to last.
So Porsche have split their strategy. The 5 stays out, the 6 on pit lane. All 3 Ferraris stay out.
Both Toyotas pitted. Both Toyotas pitted. Now, they're so good at reading these, but they came in across the nose of the 77 Mustang.
They say the rain is not going to last, but it only needs to last long enough to put your car off the track.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, but if you can keep the car on the track, it doesn't matter that you're going slower and getting passed by cars on wets, because they're going to need to get off the wets back onto slicks if it dries.
He's looking slightly more comfortable, is Molina, through Aqua Minerali that time around than the first lap.
Well, because his tyres will be hotter and the road's not absolutely awash.
This could turn this race absolutely on its head.
Already has. The leader's bailed out and gone into the pit lane and handed it to Ferrari, who have taken brave pills.
So both Toyotas made the decision to go onto the wet tyres. Both Ferraris stay out there on the slicks. Someone's going to get it right.
Plus the privateer Ferrari back up into 4th place at this point, but crucially, perhaps, the Porsches didn't. 5 stays out, 6 comes in. Car 51, 27 and 777. They were 3 cars, including, of course, the car running in 2nd place. We knew were under investigation for a technical infringement. It is a reprimand for those 3 cars.
I'm not seeing quite enough rain falling down on the track for these wet tyres. I mean, it is just there at the very top of the circuit, but round here where the car 50 is now, if anything, it seems to be a little bit better. But he's still taking extreme caution. Is Molina through Tamburello chicane?
Well, there's 2 things going on here. It needs to rain much more heavily for the wets to absolutely have to rule this, as the 95 McLaren proves that it's still damp enough, thank you very much. But the other thing is, what do wet weather tyres do to the track? They move water offline. So the wets are going to help the guys on slicks. Not much, but a bit.
The split lap times of the 4 cars that stayed out is, what is that? Just about 10 seconds. 1:53 for Robert Schwartzman, 2:02 for the race leader.
And Collado here, who's getting overtaken by the Lexus around the outside of Piratella. But meanwhile, he's continuing to catch his teammate Molina.
Yep.
Looking what the lap times are looking like on the wets right now. They are going to be very, very significantly quicker.
Now, as the light level drops, cars coming past our commentary position, sparking heavily. It's like the 80s suddenly.
There we go. That you can now see the rain really bucketing down.
Well, this is brave pills. Our leaders, the Porsches and the Ferraris, have just swallowed the brave pills by the handful.
Right, Kobayashi is 18 seconds back from Robert Schwartzman. Schwartzman, the last of the 4 cars to opt not to stop for wet weather tyres. That gap is being swallowed up at the rate of something like a second per sector at the moment on Schwartzman, and Schwartzman is the quickest of the 4 ahead.
Now here, coming past the pits, you're going, yeah, give me wets, give me wets, give me wets. The problem is, the rain has to last for an hour to keep the wets alive. I know the guys from Michelin and I know the guys from Goodyear are saying our wets will go a long way into the dry, but that's if the track's really wet. This track is going to dry very fast because it's barely wet.
It's only wet enough for the wets to work at the top end of the circuit.
Yeah.
All of this stuff we're watching here, this is still okay for the dries.
Okay, we'll box, James. Box.
Oh.
Sure, are you sure?
Yes, sure, we box.
For me, no, but okay, for me, no.
Well, in that situation,
go with James.
No, but in that situation, the team needs to say, we've got the radar, this is what it's likely to do. What's the track like right now? And James is clearly saying it's okay for slicks.
Well, look.
So they're not working brilliantly as a team right there. The reaction from the engineer there should have been, James, it's only going to intensify. Rain intensifying from level 2 to level 5 in the matter of 5 minutes.
Not enough information.
He doesn't have that information, and they don't have the information on what he's seeing around the circuit.
Nobody in LMGT3 went in for wets, did they? It's only the hypercars. So
Exactly, they don't need to.
This is for the battle for second in LMGT3. The white nose of Maxime Martin versus the white nose of Augusto Farfus.
And they're looking to try to catch Joel Sturm. Quick other note, the number 5 Porsche then pitted, stayed out, then pitted.
Yeah.
The closing speed for Kamui Kobayashi now on Robert Schwartzman, he was 9 seconds quicker last time around, he's 11 seconds back. He's 23 seconds back from the leader, Miguel Molina. And on Molina, he's 14 seconds quicker on that last lap.
But in 5 laps,
I agree.
If it stopped raining, then, I mean, the problem now, if Ferrari are committed to this, and unless it really rains, they're still, unless it really rains for half an hour, they're still in a better position if they stick with what they've got.
They're only losing time to the Toyotas in Sector 3, funnily enough, because that's the sector where we see that it's the wettest on track. All of this stuff's what James was saying. It feels absolutely fine. I'll survive around just one sector, so it's not worth calling me in right now.
Well, and do you know what? He hasn't gone in. He's gone by 2 laps since that radio message was sent, not since we played it. They've gone with the driver. Look at this. This is Augusto Farfus in the red and white car, all over the backs of Maxime Martin for second place in LMGT3. The Corvette in front is a lap down. Don't worry about the 81 car. But these 2 pros have got to catch Joel Sturm in Manthey Pure Racing.
1 and 2 are the same lap times. Now we have to commit to stay out. It's just in sector 3 we are losing. We are monitoring sectors. We hope it gets slightly better. If it's stable, we're going to have to pit eventually.
Yeah, and that's not too bad. It's fine. If it carries on raining, then they are going to have to come in. But Toyota have already come in anyway, and they're not catching you in terms of lap time. So it's absolutely fine. There's no need to panic right now for Ferrari. They're doing exactly the right thing.
Oh, Porsche and Cadillac side by side.
And for position, this is Earl Bamber trying to go past Jean-Eric Verne. There's the Isotta on the driver's left-hand side, the right of your picture, and the car in front is for position as well. So that's Jenson Button in the Hertz Team Jota car. Looking back from Chev, there's Bambi.
Kobayashi up to 3rd, and the 50 and 51 cars are on pit lane.
And another, again, Earl Bamber, another to benefit from the Giltrap group, and both Ferraris are in. Okay.
So much for committing to the slick tyres. They've brought both of their cars in.
Again, I'm not a team manager for a lot of very good reasons, but again, I don't think this is too little too late. It's the wrong choice. They're going to now go, are they going wets?
Yeah, the wets are going on.
No, tyres are going on, but we can't see enough to see if they're really wet. Are they wet?
You need your eyes checking.
I do need my eyes checking. That's why I've got glasses. But they're reading glasses, not telly glasses.
Antonio Fuoco aboard the car now, aboard the number 50 car.
Did they definitely go wets on both cars?
They did go wets. I saw it.
That's a mistake.
And it's continuing to rain. It's continuing to rain. But I can hear Bruce as well in my ear saying, yes, it's wet, wet, wet.
83 on pit lane as well. Out come the 50 and 51, nose to tail, confirmed with those sidewall colours. It's wet weather tyres, up go the umbrellas.
Well, Well, the umbrellas have been up anyway.
But they are emerged now in 6th and 7th places.
But that seemed to me like a much more sensible time to come in than when Toyota did. I think there was a slight overreaction by the drivers, perhaps, with their colder tyres, and they felt maybe wrongly that was the rain having that influence and not the temperatures. But
Switch, 51 now ahead of the 50.
Yeah, that happened in the pit stop, didn't it?
No, it didn't. No, just happened just there. Fuoco moves behind James Gallardo.
And when you look at the net gain from what Ferrari did compared to Toyota, Ferrari going through turn 7, Toyota car 7 only just exited the final corner onto the main straight now.
But coming out of Tosa, it's bone dry.
So that just goes to show how, you know, I said one team was going to get it right, one would get it wrong.
In front of us here on the main straight, it's bone dry. There's only one sector that's wet, and they were surviving it.
But it is now continuing to fall. They've made their gain that they needed, and now they're on the same page as Toyota. So that's why Ferrari committed to it. They could see that they've pulled out so much time on Toyota. What will it be now? The distance between them, is it 18 seconds?
Sorry.
There's your new, that's your new third place man, Brendan Hartley. It is Toyota's Kamui Kobayashi who leads. Kevin Estre, you just saw in the number 6 Porsche, the championship leaders, almost getting wiped out by that BMW in LMGT3.
Here's the question, was it a conservative strategy to come in or a conservative strategy to stay out? Because at the moment, right now, the smart move was by Toyota. They've leapfrogged into
I was just looking at the track
a winning
map.
position.
Yeah, sorry, got that completely the wrong way round. I do apologise.
I think that was entirely the wrong call by Ferrari.
They had committed, so they should have.
They should have stuck with it. They should have stuck with it.
Toyota did get it right. I do apologise. That was, yeah, it was hard to read in that moment.
Yeah. But the key to all of this was that moment. It was the moment when Toyota opted to bring in the 7. At that point, Ferrari had no real choice other than to go with the plan they've got. They've actually got the worst of both worlds here.
Yeah, they did everything. They did everything right and then completely lost their nerve.
Yeah.
Oh, Bamber, by the way, going for the final point here behind Jenson Button. You say, okay, no, look at it, Martin. It's so wet. Of course you need wets. No, because for 4 kilometres, you don't need wets. You just have to live with this 300, 400 metres of wet track.
This is Earl Bamber getting onto terms with Jenson Button.
That's final point.
The Cadillac is finally come alive.
So if it does, if it starts to dry up, there's the 15s off. If it does start to dry up, then Ferrari will really kick themselves because they could have potentially survived it. Just going to have a check again.
That is on full wets, as you can see through the gaps on the top of the wheel covers.
Even if it doesn't dry up, they've just given a minute and a half to Toyota for nothing.
Completely agree. Completely agree.
And again, I'll say it again, I'm not a team manager for all the best reasons. I'm rubbish at predicting this, but it looked like they'd made the right choice, and the weather's not got bad enough to make it the wrong choice. They should have listened to their drivers, not overruled them. They were...
Well, I mean, it all depends on how long this rain is going to stay for.
No, it doesn't, because they've given Toyota a minute. If it dries up, everybody's going to come in for slicks at the same time. If it doesn't dry up, nobody's going to come in until the next pit stops. They blew it.
Well, no, my point was they should have waited to see how long. Like, no one really knows how long the rain's going to last for, but they had committed, and they said, like, they even came on the radio, said we're committed now to stay on the slicks. That's why I was surprised to see both of them come in.
Oh, full course yellow.
Yes. Yeah, that's for the recovery of the BMW. Hour and 51 minutes to go. It is Kamui Kobayashi that leads this race in the number 7 Toyota from the 6 Porsche of Kevin Estre, with the 8 Toyota in 3rd. Raffaele Marcello, it was in the number 15 car. That's the car much delayed from its issues to start the race.
And the important thing is they're at full course yellow, not virtual safety car. So they don't need to bring out the safety car, which will obviously bunch everyone up. So the gaps should stay the same as they are right now.
It's a recovery only. The gaps, by the way, 20, or actually they don't count at this point under full course yellow. BMW in 4th place here.
What happens with full course yellow to the pit lane?
You can come down pit lane.
Stays open. Great. Back onto slicks, please. Come on, Ferrari, undo the mess you've made for yourselves.
But
you should trust your drivers. They're the ones who've got the knowledge.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult debrief, I think, after this one, at Ferrari.
It will be if they go 1, 2, 3, and I'm left with egg on my face, having criticised them appallingly.
The interesting thing is that that both teams committed both of their cars.
Yes.
To do exactly the same, to follow the same strategy. That was, to not even mix it with your car. Like I say, one was going to get it right and one was going to get it wrong. And you just put all your eggs in the same basket there, didn't you?
Well, as an example of the team that did split that strategy, the number 6 car that came in for wets is running second. The number 5 that initially didn't and then did came in a lap earlier than the Ferrari. That car is now in 5th. But even that car is ahead of all the Ferraris.
If it was me and I'd committed to staying out on the slicks, I would have waited at least until I was overtaken on track by the Toyota, because there could always be this situation like we have now.
Right.
Could always be a full course yellow. Maybe even a red flag. Who knows? But at least wait until on track you get overtaken.
Yeah.
They just completely handed it to Toyota by, sort of like you say, the worst of all situations, bailing at the wrong time.
Yes, it was the timing. It was the timing. There was. I don't understand why they took the decision at that point.
I think it was the wrong decision, and it was definitely at the wrong time.
That's the point. That's
trust the drivers. Don't trust me. I mean, what do I know? But James Carr's going, no, for me, no.
They were doing okay. They were surviving. They were getting caught up by the Toyota, but. The rain is starting to ease now.
So an hour and 49 minutes remain. Toyota moved from being in contention for a podium to 1-3 in this race.
Right. And both Ferraris have now gone by the pit entry.
And the reason why I got so confused was because the Toyotas are so far ahead. I just assumed that the Ferraris came out ahead of them, but they're actually almost a lap down.
Yes.
The chance for Ferrari to rescue this has just passed. They could have done a full course yellow stop and put them out on cold slicks.
But it's not over yet, with 1 hour 48 minutes still remaining.
No, 100%.
And they are going to be going back onto slicks at some point in the race. The question is, when do you do it? And who's the first to do it?
And you know what? It may not be quite as dramatic a result in the decision making, but it will make a difference on that timing.
They're on the back foot now at Ferrari, and they've got to throw caution to the wind now. They were almost a bit too conservative just then in their strategy when they could see they were losing time.
At 17, 13, 15. Full course yellow will be removed at 17.
That's in just 40 seconds time.
13, 15. In around 30 seconds, we're removing full course yellow.
Well, this is the point at which Ferrari decide to split their strategies, which I think is where they made the mistake.
Now, I was going to say, there's two things going on here. There are two things going on here.
20 seconds to remove full course yellow.
Is that the wet weather tyres...
We will remove full course yellow in less than 15 seconds.
Will take less time to get back up to temperature.
10,
but
9,
the GT3
8,
cars,
7,
most of
6,
whom are on slicks,
5,
are going to struggle
4,
a little bit more
3,
now.
2, 1. Full course yellow removed.
It's, look at, coming down the hill into the Rivazza, it's almost dry now. And here we go, Alex Lynn up the inside. He's got two wheels on the curb, both cars twitching viciously, trying to get that pass for 10th place on Jenson Button. Not sure you pass Jenson Button very easily, but again, look at the way the hypercars go, immediately get their grip from their wet weather tyres, and those two BMWs, which I'm pretty sure are on slicks, are struggling. They've struggled to keep the heat in.
Jenson went wide, I think, there. Yeah, and Lynn can see that.
Lynn's just got to avoid that flipping Mustang, which is all over the road.
It's Hill Bamber now in the car.
Leader's in LMGT3. LMGT3 leader is in, so Joel Sturm.
It's still so dry around this part of the track here, isn't it? Turn 6 and 7.
Drier down the hill.
What we don't know is what their weather forecast is telling them at the moment, because that can change. It's pretty, no real wind. So, but if that rain cloud is over us with no wind, it's staying.
Apparently Danny Kvyat reporting during full course yellow that the rain is moving around. Yeah.
That, by the way, means that Team WRT take the lead and second place in this LMGT3 battle. It's still raining heavily in the Sector 3, and we're getting big rooster tills now.
Yeah, I think that was the part of the track where it was just starting to become a little bit tricky for the slick runners.
Rain bringing a little bit of spice and a lot of change to the 6 hours of Imola. Hour and 45 minutes to go. Watching Earl Bamber in the number 2 Cadillac trying to wrestle the final point away from Jenson Button in the car in front. So you got a Formula 1 world champion and a Le Mans winner hard at it for a single point. In the LMGT3 category, Team WRT BMWs run 1-2, but I understand both Corvettes did stop for wet weather tyres. So let's take a look at what that means. WRT's BMWs on slicks. Maxime Martin 158.8, 159.4 for his teammate Augusto Farfus. TF Sports' Danny Juncadella is currently doing 2 minute 14 laps on wets. And if it was the other car, the other TF Sport Aston, which is Charlie Eastwood doing 156, so 2 seconds a lap. A lap, not a sector, an entire lap, faster than the BMWs on slicks. Going to wets when Ferrari did, I'm sorry, it wasn't a good choice.
Yellow's at turn 18 at the moment, so an instant out there. Let's wait and see just exactly what that is. The 78 car. That's marked that it's pretty wet out there because he's able to just power through what is now a quite soggy gravel trap. Will regain the track.
And yeah, he was still on the slick tyres as well. You see on the yellow sidewalled Goodyear Eagle tyres.
It's interesting, isn't it? Almost nobody LMGT3 felt the need to pit, and almost everybody in Hypercar did.
It's just the way the different cars are working. The GT's got so much more mechanical grip.
There's the
Bamber actually finds his way past this time down a Ravazza over Jenson Button. A great scrap between these two drivers.
Jenson trying to come back at him, but I don't think there's room to do it there.
I think Bamber's got the overall pace at the moment, it seems, in that Cadillac in these conditions. So there, let's see how it was done. Just a nice move down the inside, actually. Jenson gives him the room as well. Knows that he'll try and go around the outside, but there's no point trying to turn in on him.
That puts the Cadillac team into the driver's points.
That was a really nice, well-controlled and calculated move there by Bamber. Yeah, great stuff between these two.
Also means, by the way, we go down to 2 of the privateer cars in the top 10 overall. The AF Corsa 83 car ahead of the Proton competition Porsche. They're currently running in 8th and 9th, Ye Fei and Julian Amdar.
I think the perfect strategy, no one had the crystal ball in that scenario, the perfect strategy would have been to come in probably 3 laps later than when Kobayashi did. 2 or 3 laps later, because then the track would have definitely been wet enough, because he didn't really make that much performance gain, I felt, at the time, compared to the Ferraris for the first lap or 2. Then it started to come later on.
And don't forget that by that stage, the leading Ferrari was still on cold slicks.
Exactly,
because
yeah.
it only just pitted. So I don't think it was as big a crossover. I don't think it was big enough a crossover. And then we heard both drivers wanting to stay out on slicks.
Looking a bit further down the order in the hypercar battle, and the next battle is going to come for 4th because Matt Campbell going much quicker at the moment. His number 5 Penske Porsche than the BMW of Sheldon van der Linde, who's in a fine 4th place at the moment.
Well, exactly. That's worth flagging up. Whatever else the jiggery pokery of pit stops and wet weather tyre choices, the BMWs have been a competitive-looking car this weekend, and that's just great for them, for the drivers and the team, but also for the championship, because there's another name in the frame.
Out of seemingly nowhere, still in GT3, it is Maxime Martin and Augusto Farfus. Let's look at the lap times now. They're out the slicks, 156s for them, and it was Klaus Bachler, isn't it? He's 3 seconds quicker than the BMWs on the slick tyres. He's on wets in the previous race, leading number 92 Porsche. That beginning to look like it could have been a good choice.
3 seconds a lap faster, but 48 seconds behind second place. That's not a good choice.
They're cold, wet tyres.
Well, let's just see how it's done. You can still see the rain falling here before the Villeneuve chicane.
They're not cold, wet tyres. He's been out in the car for 2 or 3 laps. They're up to temperature.
He's on his 2nd lap now.
All right, so they're up to temperature as much as the slicks are, that's for sure.
51. leader of the pack of Ferraris, 3 of them, Linus Stern, 6th, 7th and 8th, James Collado from Antonio Fuoco and EFA.
The thing is, in those conditions, you've just got to think about what Ferrari did. You've got to, when it happened to me, that kind of thing, you're like committed on the slicks. I just thought, if I stay on the track and I do my best to keep this thing pointing in the right direction, at some point, someone's going to throw it off. And you know what? It's not going to be me. I'm going to try and make sure that's not me. I'm not going to be the one that causes the full course yellow order.
But that gives you the window.
Then I can come in and do my pit stop.
Yes.
Well, and then when Ferrari were just handed that golden opportunity, they committed to the wet and didn't trust their drivers again, and it is not getting wetter.
Earl Bamber, by the way, is on a tear. He's gone by the 99 as well.
Where's the spray? Where is the need for a wet weather tyre? Where's the walls of water being thrown up by the tyre clearing water from under it? There isn't any.
It's just at Sector 3. It remains in Sector 3, really, doesn't it? The wettest part of the track.
So here we go. We're climbing up the hill out of Tosa. We're getting to Acqua Minerale.
And this is, Piratella. And then that's still dry. Yeah. And the cars, you're going quick enough through there that you've got the downforce to be working.
Tiny few more drops of
water.
Now
it starts to look like wet.
Yes, but look at the racing line.
Yes, indeed. You're absolutely right. The other point that's not going the way, by the way, the Ferraris is of the hypercars, and they're all now on wet weather tyres, the Ferraris are the slower.
Yeah.
So they've not got the pace on the wet that the other cars have got.
We're Julian Andlau, Variante Alta. How wet is it? Answer, it's not. Okay, little bit of a...
Now it's wet.
Yeah.
Now it's wet. So it is the very last section of the track that is causing all of the problems here.
And it's a tricky corner at the best of times. We've seen cars go off in the dry down at Rivazza 1 and 2. And that downhill braking zone is bumpy. Well, remember, just seems like a completely different day now, doesn't it? When we saw the Jota go off with Callum Ilott, we thought he was touched at the time, made a bit of contact, but it wasn't. It was just over the bumps lost control. So in the rain, it gets even more tricky. But they come to this part of the track, and sure enough, it's not too bad.
White flag.
Slow moving.
Oh, that's the BMW just out the pits there, because they do show a white flag to a car on cold tyres. Emerging from the pits. The 15 of Rafi Macchiello, having been recovered from the gravel trap, has been in and out of the pits. Looking who's making progress here. We'll look at that in just a moment. So we'll listen in to what's going on with Sheldon van der Linde aboard the 20 BMW.
Heavy rain in the last sector. Copy.
That's the 99. That was the 99 off to the right-hand side. And that was a Toyota. Slow. That's Brendan Hartley, because Sheldon van der Linde, after having looked to be vulnerable to Matt Campbell from behind, he's holding that gap and he's now catching Brendan Hartley, and he's doing it quickly.
I just wonder, with Toyota coming in as early as they did, what damage did that potentially do, running pretty much on a completely dry circuit? What damage did it do to those edges of the wet tyres? And I just wonder, in these wetter conditions now, how that's going to play out for them.
It really is a race that's just been thrown up into the air. Looked like Ferrari's day, didn't it? Then comes down to judgment call, and a second judgment call, and a third judgment call. And on all three, it looks like Ferrari got it wrong.
I don't know if you could have said with that amount of conviction it was Ferrari's day, because De Vries, don't forget, just split the two Ferraris. The race was on between Toyota and them.
The one thing about this strategy call I cannot understand is they did have the opportunity at Ferrari, at AF Corsa, to find out with the 83 car, and they didn't do that.
That's the thing, they were just, I mean, both teams, only got 2 cars at Toyota. We got the 3 cars, like you say, at Ferrari. Why put all your eggs in one basket?
That strikes me as being a weird choice. Cars under investigation, by the way, include car 6, that's our second place Porsche. Possible overtaking on the Lexus 87 under the safety car, and also car 81.
Oh, there's a Porsche off, sorry.
That's a factory Porsche as well. Now, which one was that?
5.
It's 5, so that is the 5th place car.
Yeah, Matt Campbell going off there. He's back on the track.
He was trying to challenge Sheldon van der Linde. He closed that gap again, by the way. Van der Linde is right with Brendan Hartley here.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying, isn't it?
This is great to see.
Saw some great agility from that car. I mentioned it earlier on in the top chicane, in the dry. So maybe, yeah, in the rain, it's really coming alive here, putting Brendan under quite a lot of pressure at this point.
After talking to a couple of the BMW drivers earlier this weekend, you know, they had faces like someone had shot their dog. That is the Proton car off as well.
Yeah, that's down at Rivatsa, isn't it? So what's happened here? He turns in.
Oh, wow.
Was he hit? No,
Lost
no
that
other cars
very
around.
early.
No other cars around, so we saw him struggling earlier on.
We will go under full course yellow in less than 15 seconds. Full course yellow in 10, 9, 8.
Back to Lisa Bott.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow, full course yellow.
So Julian Adela was going, count faster, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way.
So I'm just looking at access points around the circuit to see how quick this will be to recover that car. I mean, it's only just in the gravel, but what kind of vehicles do they need out on track to actually accomplish this?
So with just over 90 minutes to go, it is still Tota from Porsche Penske Motorsport, the 7 from the 6, with Kevin Estre under investigation for an overtake under the full course yellow. Second Tota up into third place. A remarkable turnaround for the Tota fortunes with that tyre choice critical as the rain came. And then a remarkable run from the number 20 BMW. It's been a race of two completely different sets of fortune for the two BMWs. The 15 car involved in that multi-car incident on lap 1. Then the second Porsche, number 5. Then we get into Ferrari land, positions 6, 7 and 8 with a 51 just ahead of the 50.
And again, they have just gone past the pits under full course yellow, the chance to go back onto wets or onto slicks at almost no cost.
Yeah,
and as they go down, as they climb, go down between Tamburello and Villeneuve, the race leader is just about coming across the line. So they're actually about 3/4 of a lap down on the race leader. They've had 2 opportunities at a get-out-of-jail-free card and have not taken it. I'm really, I know I'm banging the same drum,
no,
but I don't see why one of the 3 Ferraris hasn't changed.
Well, I mean, you'd stay on the wet tyres right now because it is still continuing to rain, and the temperatures are falling all the time. I think the wet right now just about is the right tyre to be on, so they've committed to the wets now, and I'm not surprised that cars going off the track left, right, centre is not the time to be putting slicks onto the car. But it's more earlier on.
17:29. In roughly 35 seconds, we are removing full course yellow.
Other performances, by the way, to keep an eye on. So we wait for Eduardo Freitas to remove the full course yellow. It's still a good performance from the lead of the 2 McLarens United
20
Autosports.
seconds to remove full course yellow.
5th place in LMGT3.
We will remove full course yellow in less than 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow removed.
Back to green flag racing, and you're seeing Jean-Eric Verne on Jenson Button. The real interest, though, I think, is going to be how quick Sheldon van der Linde is away from the mark for 3rd place against Brendan Hartley. And right now, that battle is very close indeed. There's a couple of car lengths in it. Well, there's the Peugeot team watching action. Saw Linda Jackson, the CEO of Peugeot, in the garage earlier on. She's here this weekend. It's the first time I've seen her at the racetrack. Didn't see her in Qatar. And the car, the 15 BMW, recovered from the gravel traps down at Aqua Minerale. There is Sheldon van der Linde, and in front of him, the black car with the 3 red lights. That's Brendan Hartley. Comes around the 95 McLaren.
Van der Linde's through as well before committing to turn 11 and 12. It's a great drive, isn't it, from van der Linde at this point?
I don't think at any stage in Qatar, BMW were in a position where they were challenging for a top 3, not even in pit stops, but at the moment, this is genuinely on performance. They're on the same strategy as everybody else. They're not half a tank of fuel lighter. So this is a very good run. And don't forget, of course, Brendan Hartley has been embedded in this Toyota hypercar program since before hypercars actually existed. So it's not an awful lot more to dig into and draw on. Wet in places is what the deal is with the Imola racetrack. And on the front straight here at speed, the cars are throwing up a little bit of spray now, but still about half the lap is pretty much bone dry. There's not an awful lot of wet weather to keep these wet weather tyres alive for too much longer. The question is, what is going to give out first, the amount of energy in the tank or the amount of grip left in the tyre? And if we get to the stage where nobody's quite convinced that they have to change off wets, is the next round of genuine fuel stops where they're going to have to do it? Because then you're committed for a second stint. Augusto Farfus changed. In fact, that's for the lead, isn't it, of course? Because the Pure Racing Manthey Porsche stopped and dropped down to third. So it is Augusto Farfus who now leads for BMW.
Okay, guys, we need to stay on standby. We are really not sure what we do, so it may be a very short call. So everyone needs to stay on standby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a small mistake, wasn't it? So we've seen another car just go off.
Yeah,
turn 18.
And Alex Lynn has, Earl Bamber's gone through. Was that Brendan, not Brendan Hartley, who was he chasing? Jenson Button. Is that Jenson Button? Because it was Button versus Fair. No, it wasn't. It was number 15 BMW. That's been a problem child for BMW. Raffaele Marcello in the gravel trap.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not doubting the fact that it's very wet down there into the Ravazza, and not the only place either. That's Acqua Minerale again, isn't it?
Yeah, it is,
30,
yeah.
35 skating off.
But yeah, so that the BMW swap positions happened really on the exit of turn 12, or entry to turn 12, where 46 just went in a little bit too hot, and there as well through Tamburello. So really starting to lose grip and confidence in that 46 BMW.
And that's what it was, actually, running wide in Tamburello. Augusto Farfus closes right up on Maxime Martin there, and then drove by him.
Now is that moment there, just the car got a bit away from him on the rear. Another full cross yellow, yeah, you're right, Graham.
Well, don't forget, of course, after that, 300 metres through the gravel, Maxime Martin's tyres will basically have had a nice crumb coating on of gravel trap, and so he will have had no grip.
Yeah, we got the car 35 that we saw go off at Acqua Minerale. So it was the Proton, the 99 before. So clearly a really difficult part of the track to get right now.
I mean, difficult at the best of times. And this sort of bears out a little bit what Denny Kvyat was saying, that the wettest bits of the track change lap to lap.
Oh, just got on the white line. That's what it is. The white line's just holding on to that water. And it's enough to put you offline because it's a damp line going through the corner, but it's wet off from that point. So onto the white line, drags you off onto the wet stuff and into the gravel.
Well, the clue there is that it's bright white like ice is, and water on paint does not give you much grip. Water on tarmac, a little bit better. Water on paint, most motorcycle racers either learn that when they're told it or learn it the hard way, and not just racers either, riders.
Back to hard standing, so the 35 will be back underway very shortly. 51.50.
Nose to tail.
Indeed they are. James Collado and Tony Fire, Antonio Fuoco. And
next up behind them, although not immediately behind them, is the next Ferrari. That's the 83 car. That's currently running in 8th place. They are 6th and 7th, so actually doing barely any better than they did in Qatar, whereas they could have been looking at some big point scores.
Well, at the moment, 51 and 50 are coming through turn 13, as the 83 is just leaving turn 4. So quite a lot of real estate between the two factory cars and the privateer.
And in fact, 83 is behind the leader. It's been lapped.
Okay, Maxime, I know it's difficult, but it's the best option to stay out. We are now 1-2, we know Augusto in front of you, but it's the best choice to stay out for the moment.
Back to green, back to green.
And the reason it's the best choice to stay out for the BMWs is that they are 1-2, but also remember Klaus Bachler in third place in the Manthey Pure Racing Porsche is on wets.
Correct.
The gap is still 54 seconds. He has not closed one iota on the two BMWs.
It will be less than that because that was the gap as we came back to green, but it'll be around 30 seconds, I think, that you're going to find once Klaus Bachler is up to speed, as are the BMWs. He's brought it down by about 30%. But you're right, it's not 50 and it's not 75%.
Yeah, so Maxime Martin on the slick tyres, and the cars behind him, like the Corvette, for example, they're on the wets. Yeah. So he is doing a fine job. I know he's lost position and it looks really tentative when he's behind the wheel, but that's for good reason. He's actually driving a brilliant race, and like his team is saying, we committed here. We are on the best strategy right now. If this rain can just back off a little bit more, he's going to get that grip back from the slick tyres, and more crucially, save yourself a costly pit stop.
And there is the third place car, the Pure Racing Porsche. Klaus Bachler still a long way back. In fact, the closest battle in LMGT3 is first versus second. It's the two WRT BMWs.
As things stand, by the way, as we get these gaps equalised, as all the cars back up to speed, it is 23 seconds, the gap between Maxime Martin and Klaus Bachler for second and third. So that is a real-world gap and a real-world potential closing gap. We'll wait to see what the actual lap times are this time around between a front-running car on the slick and a front-running car on the brand-new Goodyear wet.
Well, last time around, 253s for the two BMWs, 257 for Klaus Bachler.
But
so
his 257 was still partly under full course yellow.
Yep, absolutely.
It's 203 this time for Augusto Farfus. It's 205 for Maxime Martin, who will wait about 20 seconds, and we'll find out what the difference is going to be.
But the relevance there was, on that last lap of full course yellow, they gained 4 seconds on him.
Depends where the timing point was. That's the point. It's a 1:53. He is 12 seconds quicker a lap now. Yep. This is the point at which it really is beginning to bite. Why? Because as we heard from Maxime Martin, he's beginning to struggle on the tyres he's on. So now we're at the point where within 2 laps he will be by. You're right, he's still on wets and it may not be the optimum tyre, but we're getting into every lap we go by, we're getting closer and closer to the point where they will have to pit anyway.
But the two cars that are on slicks lose more by slowing down in terms of performance on the next couple of laps than the wet shod tyres do. And again, look at the track change between the two Ferraris. 50, Antonio Fuoco has gone by James Collado. And look at the track here.
Yeah, there's a dry line.
You know, we're getting to the stage now where drivers might, particularly when we see it in the GTs first, they'll get to the point where the drivers are starting to now think about going back onto the slick tyres. I've just checked outside. It has stopped raining, at least where we are on the main straight. Don't know what it's doing elsewhere on the lap. This is still continuing to be the most tricky part of the circuit we come into now, riding on board with Collado. But even there, I'm seeing a bit of a damp line appearing. Oh, he tries to go around the outside, and that was never going to work out. He did the right thing, though, backing out of it quickly, but Fuoco thought about it, going around the outside. The Aston was always going to slip out wide.
Of course, this is the point where, with cars in both classes, actually I think all the cars in Hypercar are on the wets now, but the cars in LMGT3 are both dry and wet tyres.
Oh, Collado can't go through outside, inside, or between the GT cars. And that's a big advantage for Antonio Fuoco. And don't forget that Fuoco and his teammates scored in Qatar. The 51 crew did not score. Alessandro Pierguidi is ready with helmet on. Ferrari will stop their cars one more time. There are 80 minutes remaining. One stopper.
We'll have to box in the next 15 minutes. What do we think about the slick?
Still wet, still wet.
Copy that.
So that's interesting, because the Toyotas pitted earlier, that obviously means they've got less time than the Ferraris.
Correct.
To hang out there on the preferred tyre at this moment.
Yep.
So they're going to be maybe forced to go onto the slick tyre uncomfortably early, based on James Colado's comments just then.
He was very clear, didn't he? It was very clear indeed. One quick point.
What did he say? No way, no way.
He said he wants to. He said the wets is
Go
basically
wet,
still
go
wet.
wet.
They're still the wet. It's still wets.
Yeah.
Just got a beautiful slow-mo there of the Lamborghini. As things stand, if the checkered flag came out now, they would get a World Championship manufacturer's point.
Fuoco hunting.
Lamborghini?
Yes.
Sorry, yes, yeah.
Fuoco, you would have seen just hunting for the wetter part of the track on the run down towards Rivazza. And he can feel the tyres then, therefore, getting a little bit warm. The blocks of rubber start moving around a bit more. You feel that from inside the car. And look at everyone's energy levels here. So, yeah, Toyota, similar to, obviously, the cars that stopped around them a little bit earlier on to go onto the wets, as the BMW gets a little bit crossed up.
Yeah, Farfus trying not to make room, and as a result, ended up making more room than he wanted.
There's a critical moment here as well for that GT battle. The two cars, the two BMWs up front, are putting in laps in the 147, 148. I would presume because they've got laps with no traffic that they're offline for, whereas Klaus Bachler is now into the mid-50s.
Yeah, but he's still 28 seconds back. He's not made an impression because, again, the slicks are now back and hot, and for most of the lap, it's the right tyre to have on those LMGT3 cars.
The critical thing for those GT cars is, can they use the dry line? The dry line's no good to them if there's hypercars in the vicinity, but they're clearly getting laps there where they could get the optimum performance.
No, that's absolutely the opposite, because the LMGT3 cars have to stay on the racing line and make the hypercars go the long way round. That's the only safe way of doing it. So, in fact, it's inherent in them for their own survival to stay online and make the hypercars do whatever hypercars do.
The hypercars will only have the speed to overtake them anywhere in the straight line. So, yeah, you can see there as well, Bamber just going to the inside of the circuit, trying to cool the tyres down momentarily, give them a bit of a breather before you're back onto this very rapidly drying line now.
Just a reminder, 35 cars still running. The only two that are permanently out are the Iron Dames Lamborghini and the self-disassembling 88 Proton competition Mustang.
Yeah, that car had its troubles, didn't it? Then got a slew of penalties, and I think the team just gave up. 10 pit stops it had against about 5 at that stage for anybody else.
Well, the back end was falling off and the front end was falling off. The doors looked okay, but at the speeds they're doing here, I mean, those cars are dragging down to the first corner at over 160 miles an hour. You can't have gaps in the body. It just rips itself apart.
51 car here of James Glauber falling back from Antonio Fuoco. In come
GT stops. TF Sports, Charlie Eastwood and Alessio Rivera. Now, this is a battle on pit lane for position, and it is slicks a go-go.
Absolutely, and those two cars, by the way, came in from 5th and 6th place. Also in is the other TF Sport car. So remember, those two cars went on to wets.
Yeah, you're going to sit like I thought. You go on to the slicks first with the GT cars. That's why you saw in the wet conditions the GTs overtaking the hypercars. They're going to survive on these tyres before the hypercars can.
Right, the Ferrari was on wets as well, so that was a battle of equals. That was on wets, leaves on slicks as soon as he can. So no gain there for the Corvettes. Charlie Eastwood came in at 9/10 behind. He's not 9/10 behind leaving.
No. That was a bit of a struggle for the TF Sport team. And you can see in the background of the shot there, the first of the two Corvettes coming.
Seems to be a really slow getaway, didn't it? Before that, I don't know what was going on there. It was a little bit more than just the odd bit of wheel spin that you're going to get on slick tyres. Now this will be pretty tentative stuff for Alessio Rivera. Through Tamburello he goes.
And that was a major gain. That was a 17-second margin, a 1:08 pit stop for Alessio Rivera, 1:25 for Charlie Eastwood. So what was going on there?
They can't have put 4 tyres on in that time.
Seeing the number
1:08.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying.
Seeing the 51 car just sliding around a lot there. It's getting close to switching over to slicks.
Okay, gap to 83, down to 17 seconds. Keep pushing now.
Should I burn the tires? Question.
We need to look after him. We need to look after him. There could be more rain coming.
Did they short fuel that car? I can't
the
believe...
Ferrari?
Yes, I can't believe they put 4 tyres and full fuel.
I'm assuming that they could not get the distance even on a full tank, so keep track position and give yourself some leeway for a splash and dash later. The Purex Racing Manthey car is in. That's the car that came in from 3rd place, Klaus Pascher at the wheel.
Winners, of course, in Qatar. And pole position setters here. They did go with the gamble on the wet weather tyres.
And confirmation, again from BMW, both those Team WRT BMWs are on slicks and have been all the way through. 55 goes off out of the pit lane, Alicia Rivera.
That's the car that's just gone back onto slicks, and here comes the race leader behind him.
To put him a lap down.
Yep.
If he gets by safely. There's the 3rd place car. Alessia Rivera, by the way, came in from 5th place in LMGT3. There's the 81 car of Charlie Eastwood. They're going to go by him as well.
Race leader Kobayashi gets by.
Now, has Eastwood just gone by, or is that the 54 Ferrari, which is a long way back? Davide Rigon at the wheel.
So all these drivers that are going back onto the slick tyres now, they're learning the hard way in Sector 3. It's not quite there, is it? The rest of the track is. And if it's not ready for the GTs, you can see why Collado came on the radio earlier on to say, no way, I'm quite happy on the wets right now. So as their fuel starts to burn down, ideally, you want to go onto the slick tyres to save yourself a pit stop later on.
That's WRT with dollies ready. Or is that just potentially for repositioning the car?
Could be repositioning.
Potentially, yeah, if they have. But don't forget they're how far apart. 3 seconds. So they're going to. If they run their fuel to the max, they're going to come in together. And it depends whether 40.
That's the Harder Racing car on its out lap.
Yeah.
The hands of Alex Riberas going off in 5th place. So it really is tippy-toe time, isn't it?
And it is starting to rain again down that part of the track. You can just see it falling once again there. So that damp line they had is quickly becoming wet again, hence all the cars going off.
That's exactly where the Corvette went off.
Well, again, as you said, Anthony, down here into the Razzo, one of the toughest braking areas on the track because the road's falling away from you as you come steaming down the hill, and you've got nothing like the grip that you had the lap before going into the pits, and your tyres are cold. So you've got nothing like the grip you should have.
Absolutely, and the interesting thing is going to be, we've seen how the hypercars are even more twitchy when they're on the slick tyres. What do? Do they carry on running these old wets even further down?
But hang on a minute. That number 7 Toyota on wet weather tyres looked like it had just come out of the pits on cold slicks. That was a proper tank slapper.
The LGT3 race leader in, 46 moves back up to the lead at the moment. They have not pitted, so Maxime Martin's gone round again. It's blistered.
Yeah, mind you, it lived a life, that tyre, didn't it?
Just.
It served its master well. Augusto Farfus, the brakes are, I was going to say steaming, that's not steam, that is smoke. And Augusto Farfus with a full tank of fuel and fresh Goodyear Eagles to be ready to go. Energy levels rising. And away they go, 1 hour 11 minutes and maybe an extra lap after that, depending on where the leader is when they get there. In comes the Mustang, the sole remaining Mustang.
That car in the points at the moment as it came in. Ben Barker at the wheel of the number 77 car, the sky blue car. Replay here, is this trouble for the 50?
Yep.
Antonio Cuoto, yeah, seeing this quite often now, aren't we? It seems to be the new racing line. A trip across the gravel trap.
Joker lap. There
At some point, someone's going to get it properly beached down there.
So 46 leads LMGT3 at the moment, owes it a pit stop. Toto Gazoo Racing's number 7 car looking increasingly comfortable at the moment. That gap over Kevin Estre that Kamui Kobayashi's been carving out now, almost up to 20 seconds. This, though, is the battle for the final podium place, and what a run it's been from the BMW and Team WRT. Number 20, Sheldon van der Linde, right now with Brendan Hartley in a car that at the beginning of the week was getting to the point where the drivers were talking to you like you'd shot their dog. But now, this is an exciting moment indeed for fans of BMW and followers of Team WRT.
Yeah, all it needed was that little bit of rainfall and the car's come into its own. But I've got to say as well that Sheldon is driving superbly well, as is Matt Campbell.
Who's catching both of them. Yep.
If it wasn't for that off that he had earlier on, though, at turn 7, he would have been properly in the mix. With that immediate fight in front of him, at least.
This is a race, and Davidson has had some twists and turns, and not just on the IMOLA circuit, but just in terms of the way that the weather and the strategy and the fortune has gone the way of runner after runner after runner.
It really has, and you know, the track could not be in any more difficult condition for having dry parts in one area, full wet in another. You've got cars out there circulating on slicks, most are on wets. You know, your eyes are everywhere as now Van der Linde sniffs a bit of a chance on the exit of Tosa, run up the hill now towards Piratella. Nothing he can do at this moment, but he's getting closer and closer, putting massive pressure on Brendan Hartley, who continues to just soak it up.
This is about the size of your little wins. The little win for this crew in Qatar was scoring points in 10th place. Their next little win is trying to be on the podium. That's a remarkable leap in progress and shows maybe the nature of how the car deals with this track. Now, there's slicks on the number 15 car. Now, this has been the car that got knocked off early, had its problems, and so this is their experimental test lab. So they're now going to find out whether it is slick weather or not.
The other thing we've found out with this race all the way through these first almost 5 hours, gentlemen, is this hypercar class, the ebb and flow. We saw it at Le Mans last year, that some of these platforms just come to life in different conditions. The 15 car is going into the garage. Come to life in different conditions, and the 20 car is showing us exactly that. Matt Campbell is catching, by the way, and there he is in the back, actually, the Peugeot, just behind the Peugeot behind, 2.1 seconds back from Sheldon van der Linde, who is doing all he can. He'll be being told that Porsche is coming. He wants by Brendan Hartley if he possibly can.
That podium position at the moment that Brendan Hartley sits in is by no means safe, with the pressure mounting from behind, not just from this guy who we're riding on board with now, but as you say, Matt Campbell as well. And this might be a bit of an opportunity here into the hairpin. Does he even look? No, he doesn't, because Brendan went a little bit wide through.
No, has he got him? Has he got it? No, not quite there.
No, not quite, but up the hill.
Cracking
no, he doesn't have the overlap out of Tosa.
Here comes Campbell in the background, though. That's under 2 seconds now.
Don't forget the podium in Qatar. The number 6 Porsche won. The number 5 Porsche was in 3rd place. It was the number 12 Shota car that was in 2nd place. And right now they're scoring nothing. This is very good news indeed for Porsche Penske Motorsport right now. 1st and 3rd in Qatar, and they're both in the top 5 here. The number 8 Toyota scored points in 8th place in Qatar. The number 7 Toyota, the current leader, scored points in 5th place. So at the moment, the championship battle does not involve Ferrari. It is Porsche versus Toyota.
It is, and at the moment, as things stand, we came into this weekend with Penske on 99 endurance racing pole positions and 99 endurance racing race wins. At the moment, as things stand, they will not go to 100 in either of those, but they've got one car between them and the top step. Unfortunately for them, it's the dominant Toyota at the moment of Kamui Kobayashi.
Well, it is, but only because they managed to gamble their cards correctly. Look at the track now. Who's just gone off? Is that the Isotta again? Down into Tamburello. Looked like he went very wide, but it was not this battle for 3rd. And it was not Matt Campbell either. Campbell 2 seconds behind.
Meantime,
there he is.
Meantime, by the way, another position that looks like it's going to go switch any time now. Earl Bamber has caught AFA for the 8th position in that Cadillac, which is flying right now. On pit lane, 51 of James Collado. 1 hour and 6 minutes remain.
And that car that went off in Tamburello, I think it was the Isotta, it's given Matt Campbell a free line of sight to this fight that we look at. Here the Ferrari's in.
Last stop for Ferrari. Fastest car on track, I was just about to say. 1 minute 39.7 last time round for Antonio Fuoco. James Collado bails out, leaves the job to his teammate Alessandro Pierguidi. multiple LMGTE Pro World Champions. 3 titles they earned in GTs, but now are they in a position where they could turn this around?
To get home, I think, from here, they're going to have to do a lot of fuel saving. The 51, they may have to splash.
I'm surprised to see the Ferrari in now before the Toyotas, because the Toyotas stopped before the Ferrari earlier on, unless the Ferrari didn't take fuel when they did the...
Did Ferrari take fuel when they went onto wets? Is that why they can go further? Now,
well, but the Toyota stopped before the Ferrari before, didn't they? When they decided to go onto the wet tyres, unless none of them actually took fuel at all during those stops. Driver change. It's Ali Peguidi out in that car.
Yeah, we saw that. What we didn't see, unfortunately, because we cut away, is what tyres went on the car.
They came past with white walls. It was wet weather tyres. It's wet weather tyres.
That should be a blue sidewall.
It's blue-white.
Yeah, okay.
That was the closest that Van der Linde's got. They've got 2 very different lines, as Brendan Hartley and Van der Linde on the exit of turn 7. But that was the closest that Van der Linde's got, as Toyota now preparing for their pit stop. Yeah, I think none of them took fuel during those desperate tyre changes.
Same for the fuel strategy.
Let's have a look at Ferrari's last stop. 1:05 for Antonio Fuoco. Is that only tyres?
Yeah, over 1 minute can just be
hang
tyres, all 4.
The 2 Toyotas, 52 and 101, so a 10-second spread between them.
The 52 seconds is a fuel-only stop.
But they didn't do fuel only, did they? That was when they put wets on. That was Toyota's last stop. They haven't stopped on wet weather tyres.
They haven't. This is their first stop on the wet weather tyres. So, yeah, I think when they came in and made that initial call to the wets, I think they just did a tyre change, yeah. Here's Matt Campbell.
The other question here is how long can they go on the fuel load they get at this point? And obviously, the longer they delay this, the closer they are to be able to make it. This is Brendan Hartley being chased by Sheldon Van der Linde.
That was Matt Campbell, yeah, he's catching all the time, isn't he?
Absolutely.
So I would say now this is a proper 3-way fight.
It most certainly is, and if anything, it's Sheldon Van der Linde that looks the more vulnerable because he's not been able to catch and overhaul Brendan Hartley, but Campbell has managed to haul back the gap that was 4 or 5 seconds, steadily down to now a single second to Sheldon Van der Linde.
I think it was just the traffic. Sorry, Martin. I think it was just the traffic that spread them out that a little bit momentarily. They've got the Jota in front and then some more GTs. This is going to get tight.
51 Ferrari, 9th place, has not scored a point yet this season, and none of the cars behind it have stopped yet and are all going to stop later. So if it needs a second stop, it's going to be a second 0 for that crew.
Bear in mind, for the Manufacturers' Championship, there are cars ahead of it that are effectively invisible.
Right on board with Matt Campbell through the chicane. They've got the GT in front of Sheldon Van der Linde.
Toyota due a pit stop any moment now, aren't they? Maybe 1 lap, maybe 2 for the 8. Now look at the difference. Toyota number 7, 2% energy. In 6th place, Ferrari number 50, 21% energy.
Comes the 8.
They did top off when they went in for wets, and that yet might somehow save their bacon.
For number 50, yes, because we've already had the 51 in, haven't we? So yeah, number 50, they're going to have a little bit more ideal conditions to go onto the slicks. As this is what I would imagine, first of all, that would happen. So the Toyotas had pitted before, and now coming in, they're committed to going onto the slick tyres. This will be a challenge. So Ferrari, at least with car 50, have that luxury of the circuit continuing to dry. I'm not sure it's full dry conditions yet.
What's the betting toe to split the strategy here? They've got the ideal opportunity to do it. The 8 car comes in. This is the battle between the Cadillac, now having caught AFA in the number 83 car. This is for 7th place at the moment.
Okay, Ferrari have confirmed there was no tyre change on the 51 car. So it's on old wets, not even new wets.
They just put the fuel in.
But Toyota have gone on to slicks.
Kobayashi's in the pit lane.
Toyota are making the right choices here. This is slick weather now. The track in front of us is almost bone dry.
Let's just wait. I'm just going to wait and see, Martin. I admire your confidence, but
slick for this car as well.
With slick tyres in the rain is tough.
The only thing that can save Ferrari now is fuel.
Slicks are ready for the number 7 car too.
This is going to be one almighty challenge, trust me, for the drivers on hypercars going into slicks right now.
Final hour of this race, and it is Porsche to the lead with these 2 pit stops. For, last lap for the number 8, now for the number 7 Toyota. BMW number 20 in second place in this race. Duo is a pit stop.
German cars, 1, 2, 3. Porsche, BMW, Porsche.
That is mighty from BMW here. They will be utterly delighted with this.
Can I just point out, Porsche owe us pit stops. Everybody, apart from the 2 Toyotas and 1 of the Ferrari, still needs to stop. So actually, Porsche again have judged it really well. Okay, everything's spinning.
Look at this. Look what tentative stuff it is on a cold set of new slicks in damp to wet conditions. I think this is just the speed of the car, Martin.
He's going to be. He's going to be.
Oh, he has.
No, he has been off. Yellow's just been removed at turn 6.
Going that slowly.
Going slowly.
Going that slowly as well. No grip.
Have they thrown this away? No.
I told you it was a brave call to go back onto slicks.
I'm astonished they haven't split the strategy. I'm astonished they haven't.
Well, again, what's the point of a 2-car team if you're not going to split the strategy at least, once?
By the way, the 51 car has passed the 8. So the lead Ferrari is past the 2nd Toyota.
And has a fuel advantage because it hasn't yet had to stop for fuel because they topped off earlier when they were in the pits anyway.
I'll correct myself. It's not the lead Ferrari because the 50, of course, is ahead but owes us a pit stop.
It's the 3rd Ferrari, so it's the one that's already stopped, yeah.
Yeah, the interesting Ferrari here is car number 50. They've got more energy. You can see on the screen there. So they've still got 14% remaining, and all the time the circuit's drying.
This is the 83 trying to stop itself going down, lap down to which of the Penske Porsches was that?
Well, it will have been 5, 6. Doesn't really matter, does it? If you're going to lap down, you're going to lap down. It's 6.
A 5.
Oh, it is 5. There's 3rd place car. So he's already lapped down. 99's off.
So what looked like a great day for proto competition is just going to ashes at the moment.
Now, the one thing now that Ferrari needs is a safety car, because that will not allow Toyota to warm their slicks up.
Well, what they would ideally like is a safety car just when they're coming in, when their 14% is up, because they need the circuit to be drying all the time. They're gaining on Toyota right now. They're on the slick tyres of Toyota. Number 50 is still on the wets. And that just looked like a mechanical failure there, didn't it?
Yeah, it did a bit. Yeah, come this way. No, I'm not going to.
So do you get what I mean? The circuit's drying all the time, so you don't want to come in right now and commit to slicks like Toyota have just done. That's why they're just tiptoeing around. So with Ferrari 50 on more energy than what Toyota had available, in a weird way, it's kind of playing back into their hands with this circuit starting to dry up now.
Like I said, the only thing that can save them is less fuel stops, and that's... Maybe that's why they waited long enough.
Estra in,
for the
and
wets.
He will take slicks.
Have I read this completely wrong? Did they back time it on fuel to stop for wets?
No, because they never knew when the rain was going to stop, like we said. So this is just, they're making best of a bad situation right now, and in a way it's kind of falling back into their hands slightly. The track's not drying quickly enough with the cold ambient temperature that we have.
And the no wind.
Also on pit lane, number 20 BMW does not take the lead, comes down pit lane. Matt Campbell goes through, he's not pitted yet. He is up into the lead with the 50 Ferrari, also owes us that pit stop in second place.
22 seconds back.
It's anybody's race.
Oh, goodness.
It's anybody's race at this stage. It is a mix of choices, strategy, fortune, reliability, incident, accident.
I'm putting my hands up now. I may well end up looking like a total idiot if Ferrari come out of this with a 1, 2, 3, but I'm sure if I'd done it, it would have been more luck than judgment. I'm sure they're a little bit better than that. Look at that. Yeah, 8 off.
there are always going to be winners and losers, and I don't think, you know, this race hasn't been easy for anybody, as that car going through the gravel trap proves.
Is that the second time Brendan's dropped it off the road on those slicks? It is.
It is, yeah. It's because it's, like I said, it's not easy for them, but they want, what you want to do is minimise the amount of tyre stops you do when you're putting fuel in the car, and you can do 35 laps each time on it. So that's what they're looking at. They're thinking it maybe it's just dry enough that we go onto the slicks now, and we don't have to come back in again.
I think we're going full course yellow any moment, aren't we? That car's not moving. That's going to need a Manitou.
They're going to have to recover it, and I can't see that being anything other than a full course yellow. Don't think that looks like a incident that's going to warrant a virtual safety car. We'll hashtag wait and see.
So interesting there, the blue flag of light came on in the BMW, meaning somebody's coming on the pit straight behind you that you can't see as you come out of the pit lane. So that's a warning that somebody fast is approaching. On board with a race leader, Matt Campbell. Wow, the man who started the season with a stunning pole position for the number 5 Porsche Penske Motorsport 963, with 55 minutes and less to go, and leads here.
And that car he just went bombing past, it just flashed before your eyes, was the 83 Ferrari.
Yeah.
So it really goes to show the difference between the slicks, a warm wet tyre versus a cold slick tyre.
Oh, but look how much he's sliding around.
1. Full course yellow, full course yellow.
Yeah. I'm afraid that looks like the end of the road for the 99. He's not moving forwards or backwards, and it is going to need a Manitou to move him. Not a man or two, a truck to lift him and separate him.
So Matt Campbell, who we just saw, is flying past the 83 Ferrari. His last lap was the 39.1. Kamui Kobayashi, who's been out there quite a while now on the slick tyres, 45.9.
Which proves that I was totally wrong about staying on slicks, doesn't it? Except they were hot then, and the Toyotas aren't. And they're not, because they can't lean on them enough, and they can't get them hot enough, and they keep throwing them off the road. Well, what a race it has been so far. 75,000 tickets sold for this weekend, an astonishing number of fans walking in from almost pre-daylight hours into the Autodromo Enzo Adino Ferrari here at Imola. Remembering the late great Ayrton Senna, and with him, of course, Roland Ratzenberger, who also tragically lost his life here at this track nearly 30 years ago on the 1st of May. 1994. The carnage started right before the cars got to the line. Iron Dames being hit from behind, and then as the hypercars got down to turn 1, there was plenty of that as well. Contact in the bright sunshine, cool, clear air, and in the end, one of the Alpines was adjudged to have triggered the entire thing. And they may feel a little hard done by. Certainly, Isotta driver Jean-Carl Vernet did apologise for hitting somebody from behind, but the stewards have seen all the data. Well, both of the brand new Peugeots were out on the spot, so too the Alpine. Thomas Floor running out of road, bringing out the brief full course yellow. This stage, Ferrari were the dominant force in the race, and the Iron Dames Lamborghini forced to give up the uneven task of trying to keep going. 92 Porsche leading comfortably in the LMGT3 class. Isotta Fraschini in the hands of its new driver, finding not quite as much grip on cold tyres as he would have hoped for. That brought out the first of a full course yellow period, and then Nick de Vries jumping up into second place at the restart, getting ahead of the second spot Ferrari. He just avoided getting collected by Callum Island,
20 seconds
who lost the number 12 car down into the Ravazza.
We will remove full course yellow in less than 15
tyre
seconds.
delaminating on the front of the 94 Peugeot.
10,
the weather
8,
took a turn
7,
for the worst. The safety
6,
car was scrambled
5,
as rain arrived and
3,
cars were stranded
2,
on circuit.
1.
And there
Full
was a
course yellow
whole
removed.
field change, at least in hypercar, for wet weather tyres, with the exception of Ferrari. But after another 8 to 10 laps of uneven struggle against the rain, Ferrari too capitulated and went on to wet weather tyres. Well, down at Aqua Minerale, the 99 Proton competition Porsche brought out another full course yellow period. Out front though, BMWs in LMGT3 stayed out on slicks the entire time, and as their rivals stopped, they duked it out. Augusto Farfus getting ahead of his teammate. And then down at Aqua Minerale, the Alpine going off again for a second time, and finally the race leader, the number 5 Porsche, and trouble for Matt Campbell coming into the pit lane. A very exciting approach there on the wet pit lane as we went back to live pictures. The leader just making it in without incident. Martin Haven, Graham Goodwin, Anthony Davidson, and down in the pit lane, Bruce Giovanni watching the action with you, and that was a very close call for the race leader.
He clearly came in as big a hurry as he possibly could.
Look what's left of the tread on those wets. Where are the cross cuts? There's nothing left.
But again, choosing slicks. He's within his fuel window now, can go from here with whatever tyres he's got. So they've got to be the right ones. Ferrari go back to the lead, Antonio Fuoco.
But that moves Kamui Kobayashi back up to second place, shortly in the number 7 Toyota. He's about halfway around the lap, so...
And he's 1 minute and 25 seconds back from the Ferrari. That's sort of pit stop territory. This is going to be super, super close no matter what happens. We're in a world where the fuel strategy matters, the tyre strategy matters, the luck matters, the pit crew work matters.
You didn't see it because of that long highlights, but the number 6 Porsche of Kevin Estre that was the race leader as we watch a BMW gravel trapping. Is that the 20
It is
car?
the 20.
It is. That was the car that was in the top 4. And Sheldon van der Linde brings it back out on track. Did he lose a place? Not sure he did. The number 6 Porsche has stopped its last lap, a 3:02. The leader, Antonio Fuoco, doing a 2:17 on worn wets. So still the Porsche struggling to get up to temperature. 38, Team Jota. That car is in as well. And you can see again, nothing left of those wet weather tyres under Jenson Button. It does seem everybody is having to go onto slicks or is choosing to go onto slicks. But the Ferrari that stopped earlier, 51, did not. Now the race leader is in, and that will cycle Kamui Kobayashi's Toyota back to the top of the pile.
You know what would be the winning move here? Staying on wet tyres.
Is it raining again?
It started raining again. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of breath. I've just been running up the stairs. But yeah, I was just thinking, this could be...
The slicks ready. There's slicks ready. Are they going to put those tyres on? Because that could be, I think you're right, Anthony Davidson, a race-losing move.
A new set of wets could have won the race. It's a bit of a gamble. You see a drying line around the circuit, it's just started raining again.
But he's got a minute in time in which to do that, so it's going to be very close with the Toyota, because the Toyota is now up to speed, but is on slicks. And if the rain does return, then being on slicks is no advantage to the Ferrari that's already losing the lead during this pit stop, unless it does not need to stop again. We need to see the energy remaining. Thank you. 50%, I beg your pardon, 85% for the Toyota against 100% for the Ferrari, just under 100% for both Porsches. 51, the Ferrari in 5th place has the least fuel remaining of all of those. And is that enough to get to the end? Obviously not, because they wouldn't have put 100% in the other Ferrari if it didn't need 100% to make it to the end. So 51 must stop again.
Absolutely right. That may not be a race-winning move yet for Toto Guzzi Racing, but I suspect you're right, Anthony Davidson. That might be a race-losing move for Ferrari.
Not race losing. That happened earlier on in the race, didn't it?
And they're 3rd or 4th of the race, yeah.
Oh, almost collected by a 296.
And being flashed furiously by the TF Sport car of Charlie Eastwood, I think, who was chasing that Vista Sport Ferrari and Alessio Rivera. Oh no, he's not. That's a different battle.
But here's the other turn of the screw, and that is that Kevin Estre in the number 6 Porsche Penske Motorsport car is only 9.4 seconds back. He's on slightly better pace than the Toyota, just tenths better than it. It still isn't done.
Number 7, the race leader, Kamui Kobayashi, puts another lap on Jenson Button. Jenson has just left, oh, in fact, it's not, is it Jenson at the wheel still? Just left the pit lane, the 38 Jota car. It is Jenson Button, and I'm supposing then that he's on slicks because he was going so slowly at the end of the lap. Still spots of rain coming down. Now, don't forget, the 51 Ferrari did not change tyres. It is still on cream-crackered wets, and we've seen how tired they were coming off. So I'm not sure how much grip he's going to have if it goes wetter and wetter, but it will need to stop for fuel again.
We're in a world where Toyota can win this race. They lead the race at the moment. Porsche can win this race with a Porsche Penske Motorsport. The gap is down now to 7.3 seconds. The lap time gap is 2 seconds now. The two factory cars side by side there.
And they're second and fourth, Porsche. The 6 car's just gone 2 seconds quicker on the last lap than the race leader. And the 83 Ferrari off. Ye Fei at the wheel of that car.
That wasn't his fault. Yeah,
is that going to be a penalty? Who hit him?
He was hit by the Porsche, wasn't he?
Yeah, but which one? 6 or 5? Because one's in second, but one's only in fourth.
I think
Need to see that
5.
again, aren't we?
I think it was the number 5 Porsche that made contact. Because that happened down at the Villeneuve chicane, didn't it? Turn 6.
Just trying to pick the car out on the tracker.
Number 2 caddy Earl Bamber stayed on wets as well, so Cadillac were not convinced it was going to be a slick tyre track.
Yeah, that was Matt Campbell, I think, in the in turn 6 on the inside of Ye Fei, and sent poor old Ye Fei across the gravel. So yeah, they'll definitely look at that one. They don't like seeing contact between the cars.
Just saw the number 12 Jota Porsche that finished second in Bahrain. That car is currently in 13th place, 0 point this weekend for the number 12 team. So again, that's going to change the balance in the championship.
Another developing storyline is in the lead for LMGT3, because Maxime Martin in the 46 car that of course features Valentino Rossi as well as Amadou Hati is coming back at the race leader Augusto Farfus. So 31 from 46, it is a WRT 1-2 ahead of the Pure Racing Porsche that took that gamble onto the wets. It's not paid off, 53 seconds back. This looks like an all BMW game right now, but which BMW?
Aston Martin versus Mustang here. The Mustang is currently being driven by Danny Junkadea, I beg your pardon, by Ben Barker, and the Aston Martin, Marco Sorensen, got ahead of him. 42 minutes remaining here in Imola. The 6 hours of Imola, race 2 of the FIA World Endurance Championship, and a titanic battle in both classes for supremacy. There's your LMGT3 leader, the white nose and the red body of the BMW of Augusto Farfus, now just 2.3 seconds ahead of Maxime Martin, his teammate, and Kamui Kobayashi leading Kevin Estre's Porsche in the overall lead by under 10 seconds now. Let's hear from one of the crew of the lead car in WRT.
Sean, he caught a little bit of traffic just now, and you're leading, and there's only 40 minutes to go, so there's a lot of pressure as well from your teammate.
Yeah, I mean, we were behind and now we're in front, so I mean, there's 40 minutes left, anything can happen. Just praying to stay as it is, you know, no more rain, no more casino, no more anything else. So yeah, just we did all we can at this point, and I think we tried to keep it home like this.
Good luck, and Augusto is doing a great job as well.
Yeah, he's amazing, all 3 of us, so I think hopefully we can finish it home. There you go.
Thank you so much.
It's hotting up here. Change for 3rd place. 5 Porsche Penske Motorsport. Matt Campbell has gone by Alessandro Pierguidi for 3rd. It's now Toyota 1 Porsche, Penske Motorsport 2 and 3. That gap in the lead of LMGT3 is 1.5 seconds. Maxime Martin coming back at his BMW factory teammate, Auguste Farfus.
I wondered why he lost so much time to Kobayashi.
4 or 5 seconds there gone.
Went for the move on the inside. That's the problem. You're refined. You're constrained to that single line, and you daren't go on the inside. As tempting as it is to overtake a GT car before that braking zone, to venture onto the wet stuff on the slick tyres, it's a risky business.
Also to watch, the second Toyota, Brendan Hartley, is with the 51 Ferrari for 4th place now. It is topsy-turvy stuff with 40 minutes to go.
One small mistake, you're onto that wet stuff, and it's going to pull the car into the gravel.
Is the only car on wets now Alessandro Pierguidi's 51 Ferrari?
The only one I've seen come out of the pits on wets.
They didn't change, so it's still on the same wets, but of course they had half a stint in hand because they stopped later, or not half a stint, but they stopped later than all the others. In he comes, and the number 50 car went on to slicks, went on to mediums. The track is still drying in front of us here on the pit straight, or on the main straight. The pits themselves are very wet, and often that's misleading for teams. It's what's out the back, particularly when you get out of Acqua Minerale and over the top of Variante Alta and down to the Ravazza. That's the deciding element of whether or not it's slicks or wets. Well, there's no tread on those wets, so they may as well go with slicks. Look how much harder the wets have been caned. Let's hear from our race leaders.
And Kamui, we will be limited by fuel, so we need to save fuel. We have now large energy saving for that.
That is not what you want to hear when you're leading a motor race, is large amounts of energy saving. It's a difficult track to do that on as well. But yeah, Kamui Kobayashi has driven a brilliant race today. I think all of the Car 7 crew have, particularly Mike Conway at the beginning of the race as well, was always looking super quick. Nick de Vries made that decisive move twice actually, with the getting past the Ferrari after the full course yellow, and also just before the full course yellow.
Trouble for our championship leaders. Number 6 Penske Porsche has had 5 seconds added to its next pit stop for overtaking under safety car procedures, and so too has the number 81 TF Sport Corvette of Charlie Eastwood. Now Eastwood won't lose a place because of that, but the championship leaders just might do, particularly if Kevin Estre drops us off the road again. So that car number 6 is in second place. We saw when whichever of the Ferraris pitted first was in, that it had to fill 100%, which means that 74% on the number 7 Toyota was never going to be enough to get to the end of the race. So we knew that right then. The question is now, what energy has the 51 Ferrari got on board? If it's at 100%, then everybody else who's stopped before now has to stop again.
I was just listening there for the amount of lift and coast that Kobayashi was having to do. It's not quite as big as I was expecting. So, yeah, still driving a brilliant race here. He's looking down at the dashboard as well. He'll be able to see exactly the amount of lift and coast that he's having to do. It's the only way, as Conway is at a sign, has his head in his hands momentarily.
Well, he's just having a little calm down thing.
He'll know exactly what Kamui is having to go through, but yeah, Kamui on those slick tyres, you know, he went onto the wets early, got onto the slicks early as well.
Take a look at the energy remaining then. 51, 87%. Now, 83% in the number 50 Ferrari. They are the best placed in terms of making it all the way through, as you see the Alpine go off. But the Toyota, both Toyotas, both Porsches, have less fuel on board. And so the 50 car, which has just stopped, hadn't it? That was the most recent. No, 51 was the most recent. That didn't quite have 100%.
Disaster for the car that is challenging for the race lead in LMGT3. It's going to be a drive-through for the number 46 Team WRT BMW for not respecting the virtual safety car procedure.
And that's a real nightmare because Maxime Martin has now caught Augusto Farfus for the lead. Lots of penalties coming up. 60 and 777 will have drive-throughs for not respecting blue flags. 777 is the D station Aston Martin.
As will both of the Vista AF Corsa cars.
Oh my goodness.
So they're catching up with what has been a busy old day. And technical infringements coming through with reprimands and no further actions. But this car, the 46 car, started by Ahmed El Hati. Then, of course, into that car went Valentino Rossi. Will have a drive-through penalty, will drop away from the number 31.
Okay, mate, both Toyotas have a risk of splash. Both Toyotas have a risk of splash, so it's maximum push to try and get them by. 21-second gap to the next one.
So this is really interesting now for this car that we see on screen. They believe they do have the energy to get them through to the end of the race at full racing speed. The Toyotas have been asked to save massive amounts of fuel with a risk, Ferrari believe, a risk of having to do a splash and dash.
Well, if they don't, so they've either got to finish the race slowly without pitting or finish the race a bit less slowly and still risking having a pit stop. And so in the end, Ferrari's saving grace might just be that they topped up when they changed to wets later than everybody else. And again, I go back to, did they look at it and go, if we stop now for wets, we can cut out a stop that the Toyotas can't because they've already come in earlier?
As always.
Is that how it works?
What makes us scream and shout are the big calls, but it's very often the small calls that make the difference at the end of the race.
Well, it's
Here comes
not
the 46
knowing
car.
what everybody's done, and that's the difficulty.
This is the 46 car down pit lane, and that's, I think, the end of their hopes for this race win without a safety car.
It should still be enough for a BMW WRT 1-2, though, because the Porsche shouldn't catch him.
No.
Contact between the Ferraris, 83. Yaya Fei goes down the inside of Alessandro Pierguidi, and Ale lets him go without contact.
They definitely had contact.
Well, not big contact.
There was contact. I always thought that was going to happen because of what happened to the car number 6, Kevin Estra, earlier on.
Yep.
You go venturing onto the wet stuff on the inside, you're going to slide wide at some point.
Well, Pierguidi was 2 seconds slower on that lap and then just ran into the back of the Hertz Team Jota car as well. Now, is that the number 12 car that only just came out on the previous lap? And the Ferraris got through because the 51 car is still on colder tyres.
This is the way to go, I go as well. Because now it's a bit too much.
He thought it was a bit too much.
Ale, yeah, just questioning the tactics there. Is this
Martin
the way
said
to
there
go?
wasn't contact.
Not much.
What are you complaining about?
Not much contact.
He was under threat because he's got those colder tyres still.
Yeah.
Estra is coming again, is down to 6.5 seconds. And if this becomes a fuel game, that that the Kamiko Kobayashi is very vulnerable indeed. Track limits this time around
for Kevin Estra, so he's only going that much quicker because he's shortening the circuit. Car number 15 under investigation for possible overtaking under yellows as well. That's the BMW that's running last in the field.
So here is running the wall with Kevin Estra. You can see the car in front is drastically saving fuel, so that's going to give him a bit of hope, but he is carrying that penalty, don't forget, as well.
Riding on board in third place with Porsche Penske Motorsports' Matt Campbell. Is the race going to fall into his lap?
29
or is he going to be caught by the Ferraris as well?
29 seconds behind the leader. Let's start talking about that. Matt Campbell, the number 5 car. And last time around, he was almost 2 seconds quicker with 31 minutes from the end of this race.
On the right-hand side there, Thomas Lautenbach, the head of Porsche Racing, Porsche Factory Racing. They're already leading the championship here. Their cars finished first and third. in Qatar, and they are currently 2nd and 3rd. This is a very good weekend so far for Porsche, but half an hour can make a big difference.
Antonio Fuoco's been given the push order, but he's being caught as well by Sheldon van der Linde coming back into this again. He was contesting that potential final podium place, what seemed like 10 or 15 minutes ago. That round of stops dropped him back off that battle, but he's pushing his way back into it.
Just seeing Maxime Martin there behind the number 8 car, Brendan Hartley. Maxime has served that penalty, is still in 2nd place, 26.7 seconds ahead of Klaus Bachler in 3rd, and the BMWs are lapping at the same speed. Doesn't look like staying on wets is an option for anybody any longer. There's a very large amount of dry track to race on, even in some of the key areas.
This is really good, mate. This is really good. We can make it to the podium. Let's keep pushing. We try to catch them. Gap in front, 18 seconds. Gap in front, 18 seconds. Your quickest on track. 1 second and half a lap.
Don't forget, Antonio Fuoco, Miguel Molina and Nick Nielsen finished in 6th place in Qatar. And Qatar, being a longer race, was 1.5 points. So finishing 1st, even if the Qatar winners finish in 6th place, does not bring you back level. You will still be behind, and getting onto the podium is definitely a better result than 6th place.
Here's the question, Anthony. We heard from the Ferrari guys telling Antonio to push, and that they believed that the Toyotas both needed a splash. Do they believe they needed a splash, or is that motivational?
Yeah.
He's getting ready.
Look at De Vries, he's getting ready to get in.
Yeah, a few tense faces now,
Yeah.
more tense than you would imagine with your car in the lead by 4.5 seconds, but that has come down from 9 seconds in just a handful of laps. So De Vries being told to get ready.
Kevin Esch is a second a lap quicker last time round. Matt Campbell a fraction slower than Kamui Kobayashi, but you only have to lose the lead to one car to not win a race. Slightly more sanguine looking Mike Conway. Seen it all, done it all, got the T-shirt. But Nick De Vries very fired up. It does look as though he's going to be ready to take over from Kamui Kobayashi.
Just want to, as we're riding on board with him, I just want to stay with him to see where he's lifting off.
And how many revs he's using. Yeah.
Just because we've been told, well, we heard his radio message when he was told to save a huge amount of fuel. Says Pierre Guidi finding his way back past Yi Yifei. Thought about getting as close as he could, but didn't quite return the favour.
Fuoco, fastest first sector of the race. 18.85 seconds.
Now, what we're missing from Alessandro Pierguidi's previous radio messages, yeah, don't worry, mate, he's got no manners. Because that was the perfect place for that.
So whatever it was, whether it's motivational or actual, it's working on Antonio Fuoco, because he's putting in blistering times right now.
Purple first sector of the race. The last time we had a fastest lap was Niklas Nielsen on lap 64. That was 123 laps ago. There's your race leader in LMGT3, BMW Team WRT. Next time out, in a month from now, we'll be racing at Spa-Francorchamps, their home circuit. You can almost literally throw a stone into the workshop from the track. But they would love to go there with victory in Italy. Let's hear from Toyota.
Okay, Kamui, gap 4.4. Porsche 6 might have a penalty, but we need to push. Gap 4.4.
Again, if car 6 ends up with a penalty, the next car is 24 seconds back with 26 minutes to go, and that makes an enormous difference.
Well, that you could just see Kevin Estre pop into view, and we ride on board with him now, and that is Kobayashi in front of him. There's no better motivation when you're in this position, when you can actually see your rival in front.
But most important words in that call were, we need to push. No talk of fuel, no talk of pitting, we need to push.
because they're now assuming that 6 is not in the equation and it's staying ahead of 5.
Push and save fuel, or just push?
He said we need to push.
They're now committed to holding off Est in case he does not have a penalty.
And his lap times have gone to from 135's Kobayashi to now 133's, which are matching that of Kevin Estre.
Well, it's not done. 25 minutes to go. It's been a stellar 5.5 hours so far.
Nick de Vries has got his jacket back on, so clearly he's not going to be required. That plan has changed for a second time.
Stand down. Kevin Estre, always the aggressive racer.
Sam Smith has just reminded us of that penalty. It is 5 seconds added to the next pit stop.
Correct.
If they don't take a pit stop, it will be added to the race time, which makes him not 4.4, but 9.4 seconds back.
That's correct, completely correct.
However, if Kamui pushes, have they saved enough fuel in, I don't know, 15 minutes for him to push all the way to the end?
Well, they're going to know. We don't. We can only go at the moment by what they're saying on the radio.
Luckily, we have energy graphics that could tell us.
We do. Under 4 seconds now, or rather, under 9 seconds now for Kevin Estre.
Let's hear from the Toyota team.
Okay, Kamui, fuel is under control. You're doing a great job.
That's it.
He's done the job, so he didn't just have to go onto the wet tyres early, make that call and make them work on a pretty dry circuit earlier on in the race. He then went onto the slick tyres earlier than most and stayed on the track, and then got them up to temperature and started producing really good lap times to hold on to the lead. And he saved the amount of fuel needed as well to take him to the end. Kamui Kobayashi has been exemplary today so far.
So effectively, what he's been doing at the wheel of that Toyota is juggling fire whilst riding a motorcycle and reading Shakespeare backwards in English.
Toyota have no business being in the top 4 with both cars. They did not have race pace. They have strategized and driven the race superbly. They have outworked it over everybody else. They didn't have a car that was as quick as everything else.
Farfus is pitting. Farfus is pitting for the lead in LMGT3. I'm not sure we expected that.
Well, if he needs to pit, then surely so too does Maxime Martin.
They pitted. I'm sure they pitted with about an hour to go. So I'm not at all sure why that car is on pit lane. They're fueling the car.
Well, that means Maxime Martin takes the lead.
I'll double check, but I thought they pitted around the top of the hour.
Now, if they need to stop, then surely 46 needs to stop. And does that mean that the Porsche does not need to stop? Is it all going to suddenly fall back into the hands of Manthey Pure Racing? Heart of England have stopped as well. The Aston is in. So maybe all of our LMGT3 cars do need a final stop.
Kevin Estre continued to catch. It was only, I'd say only, but it was 7/10 that lap rather than the over 1 second that we were seeing laps before. 33.7 that time around for Kobayashi, 33.0 for Estre. So he really has the bit between the teeth right now as he continues to close in. Not as quickly as he was before on that Toyota car number 7, but he's still continuing to close that gap ever so slightly lap after lap.
I'm going to apologise. I'm, of course, still in GTE world. These are shorter fuel stints for the LMGT3s, so we will need to see more fuel stops in LMGT3. For the moment, Maxime Martin goes through and into the lead.
Now, what that means is that the later you stop, the shorter a distance you have to fuel for, because there's less time left in the race. So each of the cars that comes in now will stop for less time stationary than the BMW that had to stop first. So there is still potential for a change around, because Maxime Martin has gone into the lead but has not yet stopped. So at the very least, he'll have to take on a couple of seconds less fuel, because he'll do a lap less, or maybe more, or maybe more. Drive through for the number 20 BMW from 6th position. Pit stop infringement. That's going to break Sheldon van der Linde's heart. Well, there is the leader in LMGT3. Maxime Martin hits his marks, and it will probably be a maybe 2, maybe 3 seconds short of stop.
And another second taken out of Kobayashi's lead that time around from Kevin Estre. The gap now 2.6 seconds.
But remember, by the end of this race, he has to go by him and lead by 5 seconds.
Absolutely right, because that 5-second penalty will be added to the time if they don't have it.
92 does not need to fuel.
Well, he does need to fuel because 31 is fuel to the end, and he's got more fuel on board than the Porsche. So the Porsche is either going to get to the same distance with less energy or stop and top up. It does need to fuel because it's got less than the BMW, which has just had to fuel, and they will have fueled it to the end of the race. So the Porsche will have to stop. It'll spend less time stationary, much less time stationary, but it will be right at the end of the race.
Farfus goes through 21 seconds in the lead now.
The front-running GT cars they'll all have to stop and do that splash. It's just that BMWs have come in to do it first as we ride on board with the number 83 of Ye Yifei.
And did the BMWs still make it out 1-2? Yeah, again, we are hearing confirmation from Bruce Ioane in our headset. He's talked to Manthey. 92 does need to fuel again. So 31 still leads. 46 is in second place on the road, and 90 is in third place on the road. So the 46 BMW got out after its final stop ahead of the 92 Porsche. So the 92 Porsche now has to worry a little bit about the cars behind.
The United Autosports car, I'm pretty certain, does need to stop.
Yeah.
Alex Riberas has made a stop.
Look how tight this is with Kevin Estre. He's on a mission here to try and close that gap to Kobayashi.
It's down to 1.3.
Kobayashi's got held up here on Piratella.
It's down to 0.7 of a second now. Look at that. Got caught up behind the Corvette. Estre will try and send it down the inside into the second part of Acqua Minerale. Doesn't have the room.
No, and the GTs are too fast there anyway. That was an ideal place really to catch them. Kobayashi lost more with that particular car.
So this is almost like a two-part race in the old days, isn't it? Where you red flagged it and then there was a time advantage. Taking the lead is not enough for Kevin Estre. He's got to win by 5.001 seconds on the road, at least.
And at this point, Matt Campbell is not catching by enough. He's catching by tenths. He needs to be taking seconds out of this. He's not doing it.
These kind of conditions are made for Kevin Estre, aren't they? He's got such incredible car control.
Meanwhile, Ye Yifei is still within a second of Alessandro Pierguidi. That Ferrari battle is not done. That's the battle for 7th place between 51 and 83.
Yeah, it's a shame that Estre's carrying this penalty, isn't it, towards the end of the race, because as we know, overtaking on track is so impossibly hard. We've seen it, what, once with the Ferrari overtaking the Porsche, genuinely for track position. But
I'd offer the opposite point of view, which is, I think it's great because he's got to pass him. He absolutely has to pass him.
Well, because because he wouldn't want to pass him anyway.
No,
just
he
for
might
a
just
race
sit there just a second.
A measly race victory.
But he has to pass him and pull away. He has to be fully lit for 17.5 minutes. And a fully lit Kevin Estre is roughly equivalent to dynamite.
Is he anything else?
Always.
He's always fully lit.
Well, now imagine if the situation was on the other extreme, where the Porsche knew that the Toyota had a 5-second penalty, then all the life would have gone out of the race.
Yes.
Because he's already won it just by sitting behind him. So you're absolutely right. It does, I mean, not that Estre needs any incentive to get in front of the Toyota, but once he's got by, if he gets by, he's going to have very limited time to pull away.
So we've got 16 minutes still remaining, almost 17 minutes still remaining of the race. He's a second faster than Kobayashi.
That should be enough.
Yeah.
But he's got to get by.
He's got 10 minutes to overtake him, basically.
Kamui Kobayashi, the race leader, under real pressure now for Kevin Estre. The Points leading Porsche in second place. Getting by is not enough. He has to win by more than 5 seconds to undo a pit lane penalty that they have had. By the way, in fifth place, Antonio Fuoco in the number 50 Ferrari. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2 of the race.
Fire by name, fire by nature, and is this going to be the fastest lap of the race? Currently sits at a 1:32.407 from Nick Nielsen. It goes with a 1:32.209 on lap. What is this? 194. Closes the gap to Brendan Hartley to 11 seconds flat.
Fastest laps also, by the way, of their races for Alessandro Pierguidi in the 51 and Ye Yifei in the 83. But assuming that the 51 took on no more fuel than is needed to finish the race, Ye Yifei can't get to him because he hasn't got enough fuel. And what about everybody else in front? Is everybody else in front going to have to splash, or did Ferrari put in much too much fuel into 51? 51's our benchmark. Yep. If you need the amount of fuel that he's got to get to the end, everybody else has got to break for the pit lane.
That said 51%, didn't it? It can't be 51% to the end with 15 minutes to go. It can't. That must be too much.
You would think. I've been so wrong on so many calls on this race. I only ever, as I always say, only ever open my mouth to change feet.
The reality is, we're only going to know who was wrong on these calls in about 15 minutes. It's been that tight. It's been that bonkers. It really has been such an up and down 6 hours here at Imola. What a fabulous event this has been.
Come on, here we go, here we go, here we go. Antonio Fuoco's fastest race lap, lap number 194, last time round. Kevin Estre is dangerously close. Anthony, how much is it going to upset the balance of the Porsche? How much is it going to blunt his attack sitting so close to the car in front?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow quite a bit closer in a sports car, particularly these modern hypercars, than you can in single-seaters. You don't have the front wings, for example, getting in the way and getting in the turbulence. So, but this gap he's staying behind him without the BMW in between them, of course. That gap we were looking at is kind of the area, that invisible barrier that you have with the turbulence coming off of one of these cars. So he's going to need the help of traffic as well. As we've seen earlier on in the race, the speed differential in the straight line, at least, between these two cars is very, very similar. So he's not going to do it just pure pace and out-drag the Toyota down the main straight, for example, here. He's going to need the help of traffic to even get by. Once he's passed, I believe he does have the speed to start pulling away and eat into that time penalty that he's going to carry through to the end of this race. He's definitely not going to come in, he's definitely not going to come in with a pit stop with the amount of fuel he's got on board. More than that of car 7, at least.
That's just about to talk about those two cars. They came by us a 10th of a second apart. This is the battle for 4th LLM GT3 between the number 27 car. That's what went on at the 55 Ferrari of Alessio Rivera. So that is a real world battle, and that was contact.
Well, Alessio looking to try and pile on the pressure, and then the door sort of opened, sort of didn't.
Yeah, he knew he was there, didn't he? So, but he tried to make the gap as small as he could, as tight as he could. So it was kind of a bit inevitable, that contact, but it was a late move down the inside as well. That's going to be one for the stewards to look at, I'm sure.
Antonio Fuoco, by the way, is applying the tin opener to that gap. It's down to 8.6 seconds to Brendan Hartley for 4th. The gap, though, between Kobayashi and Estre for the lead the race still in the 10ths, but it's not changed hands.
I was surprised to hear him doing a bit of lift and coast as well, actually, down towards Rivanza 1 at turn 18. So it's not like he's got all of the energy in the world to play with, even though he's got more than Kobayashi.
Tight stuff. This.
And listen, in the end, second place is better than running out of gas or having to pit and dropping down 2 or 3 places. Don't forget that Kevin Estre and his teammates are leading the World Championship, and they had 1.5 points as well in Qatar. So it's not just a lead, it's a bit more. And oh, what's the front end washout there under braking?
Well, the other part of this, of course, is it's a manufacturer's title up for grabs. And Kevin Estre is doing two things here. He's trying to win the race, but he's trying to put the Toto under pressure. And even if there's a problem that befalls the number 6 car, the number 5 car is in 3rd and would inherit 2nd place.
Yeah. Well, Porsche will get 2nd and 3rd, whichever way this works out.
We have room to stop energy management for 2-3 laps, to overtake and then come back to energy management.
I'm not sure that's going to be enough, though. Just that little bit of lift and coast that we heard down into Ravazza, I'm not convinced that's going to be enough. But if he goes for the move, we know that Kobayashi...
Oh, suddenly this could be the chance. Yeah, look how much closer he is now. Kobayashi is down to the speed of an LMGT3 car through Ravazza.
Like I say, if he's close enough, he knows that he has the opportunity not to have to lift and coast, whereas Kobayashi's probably still going to have to do a little bit of that. But I'd still say he's probably not quite close enough, even at this distance.
No, not a good run, though.
He has a look to try and put him off, but you're going to need to do more than that with the experience of Kobayashi.
He has hypercar traffic ahead. Could this be where there's a stumble?
Any opportunity with traffic, you're going to try and capitalise on it. And yeah, we've got the Alpine in front. Alex Wirtz down at Toyota watches on. A stream of hypercars exit turn 7, but only 2 of them are fighting for the race win, or at least lead position on track as it stands right now at 9 minutes 40 seconds to go. Estre is right on the brink here. He's going to need to get it done as soon as possible if he's to carry on pulling away that time deficit he's carrying of 5 seconds penalty.
There's another new fastest lap of the race. It goes again to Antonio Fuoco. It's a 1:32.086. The gap to Brendan Hartley, 7 seconds. Just 9 minutes though remain. He's running out of time to get that done.
Yes, he really is, but he is absolutely flying.
Kobayashi's going to have to go around onto the wet stuff potentially into 18. And no, he's just got back online. It was actually Estre that got caught slightly offline there.
Still dive through on the inside down into Ravazza 1, and again the Toyota just creeps away enough down the straight, doesn't it? Porsche doesn't quite have that ultimate top speed. Top speed at the line last time, on the fastest speed trap, 304.2 kilometers an hour for the Toyota, 313 in the slipstream for Estre. So their VMAX is higher in the Porsche, but the Toyota's getting off the corners better still.
It's another blistering lap underway from Antonio Fuoco. 2 purple sectors again. It's going to be this is going to be a lap under 1:32.
Yes.
Estre off there on the gravel. He's trying everything he can, but yeah, the Toyota team just saw that as well, and give a little bit of a round of applause when as soon as they see the cameras on them. Just no, nothing to see here.
Well, that's what the Germans refer to as Schadenfreude, which is celebrating somebody else's misfortune.
Glad to the curb on entry to that corner.
Yeah, dirty air of the Toyota that affected him there, and I mean that's the distance that you can get to within one of these cars before it does take effect. It's pretty impressive, really. Andrea Lotterer watches on. He would have been loving to sit in the car. You always think, you imagine yourself in the car, like, oh, if I was in the car, I'd just send it down the inside.
Not sure Kaz Nakajima wants to be in the car, actually looking at how nervous he is.
Oh no, he's yeah, he's retired now. He's got another job for Toyota, but I was more talking about Andrea Lotterer.
Yep.
He did a good job earlier on in this car. As we watch now on board with car 6 in the slipstream of Kobayashi, you can see the race lead. Although even if you did get your way by, it's not for the race win, of course. So yeah, this track is tough to overtake on.
4% might be almost 2 laps worth of energy still.
It's going to be so tight in so many ways. Tight on time.
Kobayashi's gone a little bit wide there that time around and allows Estre to catch ever so slightly. Looks to the inside. Not quite enough. That's the first like minor mistake I've seen from Kobayashi. He's been absolutely bulletproof until now.
Had a couple of splash and dashes in LMGT3, by the way. Both Akodis ASP Lexuses have just stopped in the last couple of laps. So not everybody is yet guaranteed to make it as we reach the 200 lap mark. Yep. 6 minutes remain of 6 hours of racing.
Yeah, went just briefly again to Loudon back Cam, and he's not looking any less stressed than he was 10 minutes ago. Kevin looking for a way by, but Kamui Kobayashi has been imperious until that last lap. A couple of little wiggles there.
Well, we'll forgive him for that. Yeah, I mean, it was only microscopically offline, but yeah, Estra saw it as a bit of an opportunity.
Of course you do. When you see the car in front slide, you go, I'm getting to him, I'm getting to him. Yeah, but you need another 20 minutes, Kevin.
Alex Riberas, by the way, and Alessio Rivera, that's position has switched to Vista. Ferrari has gone through the 55 up into 4th place in LMGT3 with a pit stop for the 27 car under investigation too.
More potential pain for that Aston Martin in 5th.
Potential pain there, well, definite pain for Estra as he's fallen foul of the traffic there compared to Kobayashi, and you see the gap extend once more. And that's what you're looking for, always in the car. You're thinking, right, where are they going to catch them next? You look, eyes to the top of the hill, you can see a car in front. A couple of GTs just before Piratella, and Kobayashi's probably going to overtake that particular car on the exit and the run down to Acqua Minerale.
And Estra's going to catch him out of Acqua Minerale. Oh, number 38 this time, not the number 12 Jota, which has been in that gravel trap at least a couple of times.
Jensen Button just with a bit of a fumble there, gets back on track, back to the race lead.
So Estra still carrying that loss of time, which happened in the Tamburello chicane behind the Mustang. So yeah, you can see just what it does to you, and you're thinking when you're in that car behind, all it takes is for the leader to get into the traffic at the wrong point of the circuit, and I got my chance. Let's hear from his teammate.
So about 4 laps to go, and we still believe leader Toyota does not have the energy to go to the end.
All right, Matt Campbell being told that this might fall into his lap. Why? Because he's only 3rd? Well, because if the Toyota can't make it and drops back down to 2nd, Kevin Est might not have enough in hand either. Matt Campbell is still 24 seconds back, so Estra won't drop behind him. But the Toyota, if it needs to pit or slow dramatically in the closing stages, might drop back down to 3rd. The battle for 4th, Brendan Hartley is now just 3.2 seconds ahead of Antonio Fuoco. And Fuoco again on that last lap, purple sector 3, the fastest man in the entire race. Whoa!
Racing gods definitely shining down on Kobayashi here. He caught those cars on the run up towards Piratella, got past both of the GTs while he was flat out, and it's Estra once again that had to snake his way through between them. But the luck in traffic doesn't always last forever. At some point, you see your opposition. Once again, Kobayashi gets past that next GT car before the Ravazza corner where Kevin Estra has to sit behind. So this is the way it works. And Kobayashi's on a roll here, but there's nothing that he's not manufacturing this. It's just falling his way. At some point, it turns around.
Fuoco is almost with Brendan Hartley. He's slashed that lead to 2.1 seconds, but there's only 2.5 minutes to go. If this could depend on just where they are in relation to the leader.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes, could be 2 laps. The leader has just crossed the start-finish line. And number 8 is coming down to Ravazza.
Kobayashi's in the thick of it now, so this is where he's behind the Isotto Fraschini. Turn 5 and 6, he's going to have to go down the inside into Tosa. And gets let through. Car 11 will be getting the blue flags, and yeah, what's this, a Peugeot in front as well, and the GT car in front of Kobayashi. The Peugeot moves aside. Will he get the GT car with the Lexus before Piratella? Yes, he does. Once again, it's Estra. Look at that, a gaggle of cars in a high-speed corner that he's caught behind, and he won't get past all of these. if any, before Aqua Minerale. Yes, just one of them. It's the Lexus. How frustrating.
It's done with that, I think. Antonio Fuoco, new fastest lap of the race, 1.4 seconds back from Brendan Hartley. It's 90 seconds to go. It's going to be this lap plus one more.
Yep. So that's got nothing to do with the speed of the cars there. We've seen that Estra putting constant pressure on. He's got the speed, but that's just the way the luck of the draw is when it comes to traffic.
Now the Peugeot they've just caught is Jean-Eric Verne. The other Peugeot, Stoffel Van Dorn, is 6/10 ahead of the Alpine of Nico Lapierre. Not that there are any points up for grabs for 15th and 16th, but...
This is Fuoco and Brendan Hartley, and Hartley has got the traffic. Could it be the boot on the other foot in this transaction? Catches that one quite nicely, but great run from Antonio Fuoco.
It's going to be Paul behind him as he gets down towards turn 18.
We have no buffer on energy. We have no buffer, so you got to battle like this.
Last lap. Brendan Hartley will hang on if he can, but Antonio Fuoco has got the foot very much buried in the floorboards.
I feel like both the Toyotas here are fighting a little bit of one hand tied behind their back. They haven't got the energy of the other cars behind them, and that's why Fuoco was able to challenge there. Brendan's having to do a lot of management.
It's wide, loses the place. Antonio Fuoco moves up to 4th place on the very last lap.
Yeah, the fans in the stand in front of us rise to that as they see on the big screen.
Now in Porsche Penske Motorsport, they're going, well, why could you not do that with the number 7 car?
Because I think Kobayashi's done such a good job with the lift and coast earlier on in his stint, and Nakajima could see exactly what was about to happen there. So.
Yeah, but the Porsche team are going, well, why couldn't just once Kobayashi have made a mistake and dropped it off the road? Once.
Here comes Kamui Kobayashi.
Yeah.
Because that moment started there for Brendan because of the energy management that Kobayashi's managed brilliantly well.
Checker flag is out. Blue flag is out. Checker flag is out for Kamui Kobayashi. Toyota wins in Imola for the 2nd year in a row. Toyota beaten the Italians on Italian tarmac. And for the first year, it's a victory in hypercar in Europe for Nick de Vries. The number 7 crew claim an unexpected and unlikely victory.
I think the best driver car crew won today. I honestly do. I think all 3 drivers in car 7 drove impeccably well, and de Vries managed the situations in the full course yellow perfectly well, down to the second, quite literally, in getting past cars. Kobayashi masterful in fuel saving and holding his nerve under immense pressure.
Yeah, Kamui, you did it! Congratulations, Kamui. Well done. Good job.
Thank you, guys. Good job.
And here's our LMGT3 leader coming towards the line. Augusto Farfus will lead a BMW Team WR2 T1-2 here. Victory for 31, 2nd place for the number 46 BMW, and that will send at least, there's Liri, Augusto Farfus's wife, and his young daughter, and that will send about 75% of the crowd into paroxysms of ecstasy as Valentino Rossi takes a 2nd place here. But there's Sean Gelael. He's a very happy boy as well.
Yeah, he drove really well today, didn't he? He was just chipping away at Valentino Rossi, lap after lap. The gap at one point when I first saw them out there together was 19 seconds. He brought it down, and we saw the gap in the pit stop. It was down to about 5 or 6 by the end of their stints.
Well, Toyota really managed the race. The drivers, the tyres, the energy, every aspect of that was as sure-footed and composed as it could possibly have been from Toyota Gazoo Racing. And that one little driving error on that last lap from Brendan Hartley drops them from 4th to 5th. But still, what a race for Toyota. It wasn't the quickest car, it won the race. And Valentino Rossi and the team there, a 1-2 for BMW Team WRT. And they head to Spa next time out. They'll be very happy. It is Toyota that wins for the second straight year here in Italy against the Italians.
One other point to mention here, that was a stellar fight back from Antonio Fuoco. Not the result that the fans here, I think, were looking for. He misses the podium by 5.8 seconds after that run back, with lap record after lap record after lap record. Brought the finally the fastest lap, and therefore the race lap record here at Imola for Hypercar down to a 1:31.794. That is some going.
And that, Graham, was on lap 203 of 205.
It was a brilliant final stint from Antonio Fuoco. The other point to mention, you mentioned Valentino Rossi. That'll be his first WEC podium.
Yes.
And that's a significant step forward. Great race from Team WRT and from BMW. A word too for the number 20 BMW Hypercar. Sheldon van der Linde will come home in 6th place here, but what a big improvement we've seen from that team with that car here.
100%, and a real disappointment for Peugeot and their fans that both cars were clattered off in the very first corner. They just didn't have a chance to show what their new race car can do. But the benchmark, Toyota, again produced the goods.
But Peugeot score manufacturer's points. So, for the first time, do Lamborghini.
I think it's a little bit unfair to say Toyota really didn't have the speed today. You can't judge their dry performance by that last stint. They were on desperate energy-saving mode. We heard the call to Kobayashi and also to Brendan at the end. There's no more you can do here, mate. I'm sorry. You're going to have to fight like it is. And he lost a position. Yes, he went off the track, but it happened because the root cause was he was saving energy. Earlier on in the race, don't forget, they got their way into splitting the two Ferraris in dry conditions. And I think they had, although not quite the pace of the Ferrari, it wasn't quite as extreme as it seemed at the end of the race. So Toyota were there or thereabouts in dry conditions, made a blinding strategy call. I doubted it at the time. It was absolutely the right thing to do to get onto those wet tyres early, and they read it absolutely right.
Darren Young from the British GT Championship to a WEC race win. A couple of other points. We will see a Ferrari on top of a podium here this afternoon because the 83 car will take the Teams World Cup win for the privateer cars. That was well fought with a slightly off-color performance, I thought, today, and from the Hertz Team Jota guys. Didn't ever really seem to have the pace here. The Proton Porsche was there, but then suffered some bad luck and has been a misfortune. In GT, another quick stat, 7 of the 9 manufacturers in the top 10 and therefore in the points.
I think Kobayashi's enjoyed this one, hasn't he? He's been in the car around the
well, he should
as well.
Well, the problem is everybody's coming down the pit straight and having to turn back on themselves to get into the pit lane, and there's not enough lock on the car, so they're all having to do a little bit of a squirt to get round. And again, here, even in Parc Fermé, the 31 car couldn't turn round again.
I agree with Graham, actually. You know, to Jota, that was the surprise for me, really.
Yeah.
I thought for a while maybe they're just on a completely different strategy.
Well, they kept popping up to the top, didn't they? Hour 2, they were 1-2.
But I think ultimately they just didn't have the speed in, well, either the wet or the dry, and some of their drivers were making mistakes as well. I know the conditions are incredibly hard out there, but Will Stevens, I thought, drove a brilliant opening couple of stints of the race today. But, yeah, just the car spent too long in the gravel traps as well.
More than anything, it was what I think we all love to see. It was a team win, because it was one on track, it was one with strategy, it was one on pit lane, but it was a driver's win with Kamui Kobayashi soaking up that pressure as well. Absolutely fantastic stuff.
Now that's going to be an emotional win for Augusto Farfus, young Brazilian, or not quite so young Brazilian now, but you know, at a circuit that means so much to everybody in Brazilian motorsport because of what happened here just under 30 years ago. We remembered Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger at the beginning of the race. There in the black jacket is his wife, Liri, and there are 2 kids with them here as well. They've lived in Italy a long time, that family, and he's been with BMW a long while as well, and Augusto Farfus will definitely have a moment or two, I think, in quiet reflection before this weekend is over. But for Toyota, it was a masterful performance.
It was.
They really did everything they needed to do and more.
I mentioned two of their drivers, of course. I didn't get time because there's so much going on towards the end of the race. Mike Conway as well, a massive shout out to him. Constant pressure he put on the Porsche in front of him throughout the first opening stints of the race. It looked like he had incredible speed, if unleashed, to possibly even catch the Ferrari. So, yeah, a brilliant job by all of that car crew today. Really, really tight work, impressive. And I think the team are actually quite amazed as well, the job that Kobayashi particularly was able to do at the end of the race. I think for a moment, they thought they were going to have to put that car back into the pit. Ferrari felt they were going to have to put that car back into the pits to have a splash and dash. Yeah. Somehow, they made it work, or he made it work, and brought it to the end on fumes of fuel.
Look at the face. I mean, it says it all, doesn't it? This is a sport with very many layers.
This is the bit I love so much about sports car racing. The drivers' interaction with each other, that camaraderie. It's a journey you go on from the start of the weekend to the end. And when you get there and you can stand on the top step, or even just the podium itself, it's a feeling that you all share together, and it's not just that solemn experience that you have so often as a racing driver. It's quite a selfish sport in that respect in many ways, but in sports car racing, the three of you all celebrating together like that is pure magic.
And such a great reaction from Kamui when Nick de Vries went to him, how did you do that? I have no idea. I mean, almost the incredulity on his face in that one moment. I don't know either. That's Vele offering his congratulations. Look, but as he always did, win, lose or draw, first man in there to say well done.
And I'm really particularly pleased for Nick de Vries as well, because Formula One, the world in Formula One chewed him up and spat him out, but he's bounced back, and I can tell you with conviction he is, make no mistake about it, one of the best sports car drivers the world's ever seen. Yep. He is phenomenally fast. I don't know what happened to him in Formula One, but don't mark him on what he did there.
I completely agree.
He is incredibly fast in this world.
He's one of those guys, and there's a short list of them that are going to make headlines for a long time, and it's great to see. These three, Sean Gillette, absolutely delighted, Darren Leung on the right-hand side, and Augusto Farfus in the middle. Brilliant.
And by the way, everybody racing in British GT, this is where you could be next.
This is what you could have won.
This is absolutely where you could be next. Because last year, Darren Leung was racing at Alton Park and Donington Park and Brands Hatch and won the British GT Championship, and here's where he is.
One final word I'd like to give on this win. We've been through a period of growth with hypercar and with all sorts of machinations and politics and changes in rules and all sorts of things going through this. This is what it means when you get it right. Forget the rule book. This is what it means when you get it right.
There won't be any grumbling from Toyota tonight.
Kamui, fantastic drive at the end, a lot of pressure from the car behind, not the fastest car, but so strong, and the strategy was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, team made a great decision. I tried to not mess up. I mean, track was very challenging, and to be on the track, of course, is challenging. And I know I had a lot of pressure from car 6. They did an amazing job, but obviously I had no mistake. Managed to be in the front. Thanks for the team, and big support in Italy. I also appreciate, and of course, these two guys made a solid job here. Fantastic, thank you.
First win in WEC, so at the beginning for you already, a big success. Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very thankful to be sharing the car with both Kamui and Mike. I think they both did a phenomenal job. The team executed the race perfectly, and I think we really deserve this one.
Congratulations to all of you guys.
Well, with the inevitable Cavallino Rampante, there were Toyota Gazoo Racing flags being waved in that crew as well. I saw a large number of them coming in earlier today, and the benchmark team of endurance racing, Toyota, have done it again. Imola in Italy, the home of the San Marino Grand Prix, and the venue for round 2 of the FIA World Endurance Championship for 2024. And from humble beginnings with half a dozen cars, 19 hypercars, taking to the grid. Remembering the late, great Ayrton Senna, just a week before the 30th anniversary of his passing here in 1994. And with Ferrari looking out the first 3 places on the grid, the eyes were on those behind as trouble broke out in the LMGT3 ranks. Down into the first corner, it was the tail of the hypercar field where things kicked off. Both Alpines, the Isotta, both Peugeots, and one of the BMWs out on the very first turn of the race. It was going to be a long 6 hour for all 6 crews that were involved. Real shame for Peugeot with their brand new cars both being knocked off, and BMW's number 15 car also never recovered from its delay. Delay for both Alpines would mean in the end that neither would score points, but Ferrari looked to be dominant. They were beaten in Monza after Le Mans last year by Toyota, but we're looking strong here. Not so Lamborghini. The Iron Dames, after that first lap contact in the back of their car, eventually forced to retire. And as rain arrived, the Isotta showed how limited conditions were. At the end of that full course yellow, a great restart by Nick de Vries to take 2nd place from the number 50 Ferrari. And he would then set off after the race leader in car number 51. He was lucky to avoid getting centre punch from behind as Callum Eilert lost to number 12. Toyota Porsche for a 2nd time down into the Ravazza. Delaminating tyre, another of the woes for the brand new 94 Peugeot. And the first safety car scrambled as heavy rain hit the circuit. The leaders stopped for wet weather tyres, including the Toyotas, but all 3 Ferraris stayed out, at least for a while. Then the team brought them in with more rain predicted. Porsche coming into the equation, but the number 7 Toyota driven superbly, closing in. The early race leaders in LMGT3, pure racing by Manthey, losing out to the BMWs who did not change tyres. Augusto Farfus, after a titanic battle, getting by teammate Maxime Martin for the lead. And as conditions stayed wet, even the wet weather tyres, not enough to save some drivers from the gravel traps. Last lap pass for 4th place. Antonio Fuoco setting a series of lap records, getting past Brendan Hartley for 4th at the line, but it was the number 7 Toyota who claimed victory. A stunning drive. They handled the car, the conditions and energy management superbly. And BMW's number 31 machine claiming victory to the light of Kurt Mollikens and the overall WRT team boss, Vincent Voss. Andre Lotterer joking with the Toyota team. Porsche claiming 2nd and 3rd place here. And they continue to lead the manufacturer's standings, but it is Toyota who are on the top step of the podium. 7, 6, 5. That's not a countdown to the podium ceremonies. That's the order in which the cars finished. And Kamui Kobayashi somehow, with not enough speed and not enough fuel, held off the number 6 Porsche. And Anthony Davidson, that's perhaps the depth of the ability in that Toyota team that for a number of years, when they were effectively racing themselves, we really couldn't gauge. But here against stellar opposition with very good cars and very good drivers, they've still got what it takes.
Well, don't forget, this team was hardened originally by fighting Porsche and Audi.
The Japanese anthem has become a very familiar sound over World Endurance podiums over the last few years. And you're absolutely right. You know, they came in many years ago. They battled Porsche and Audi in their supremacy. And Porsche are back. Audi, of course, have other fish to fry with bigger, heavier cars, but nevertheless, Porsche's second and third. And again, a car that struggled, and a team that struggled to get their head around the 963. Last year, Porsche Penske Motorsport have come out with all guns blazing this year. And Roger Penske here to watch it again. You know, his focus this year is on making the World Championship happen for him.
Well, and it goes to show as well with the might of the competition now in sports car racing, particularly in the hypercar category. If you don't perfect it, you're not going to be standing on the top step. Toyota today, for the Car 7 crew at least, all round, they absolutely perfected this race.
It's a first race win in the WEC for De Vries, but it brings up to 18 the total for Kobayashi to 17, for Mike Conway to 18, and for Mike across his LMP2 career as well, he moves to 22 wins in the WEC. That compares to 24 for Seb Buemi.
Yeah, he's certainly racking up the wins.
I thought Buemi was good actually as well today. When Conway was putting pressure on the car in front of him, the Porsche in front of him, Buemi was doing exactly the same thing, but further down the field, because that's obviously where they qualified. And this is going to be a well-earned spray of the champagne for all of those drivers up there. This today, as we expected, were some incredibly tough conditions. Throw on top of that the rain as well. This track alone in the dry is hard enough, let alone what they had to deal with those changeable conditions.
Porsche Penske Motorsport, not the top step, but they will, I'm sure we'll see in a few moments' time, go home still top of the points standings of the World Championship.
Well, they finished first and third in Qatar. They're second and third here. How can they not be really happy with the way this season is going? But for Toyota, again, first and fourth, very nearly first and fifth. They've scored strong points here. 51 Ferrari get their first points of the season. Number 20 BMW scoring as well.
As do Cadillac, by the way, after the disqualification from Qatar.
Points only go down to 10th place. LMGT3, a 1-2 for Team WRT and their BMWs. That's a really strong result. Head of Manthey Pure Racing. Then the 55 Vista Air, of course, the car, Heart of Racing, and United Autosports, 6th place with their McLaren. Just 3 cars failed to make it the distance. Proton, the Iron Dames, and the Proton number 88 car as well. Well, let's catch up again with Bruce Ioani and our LMGT3 winners.
Augusto, so happy for you. Very well done. Your family is there to support you. First win for BMW already at the beginning of the season. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm super happy, super proud. I think we executed very well. The team, the calls from the strategy, the first hit from Dar and Sean. So I think we showed that this championship, more than having the fastest car or the individual fastest driver, is about having a team. And today I have to say we executed well. I'm super proud. It's my son's birthday, so could not end up a Sunday.
Well, this was unfortunate, wasn't it? A freaking crash right here. Well, I guess that's it.